Yo. It's Grapsody with Will, Phil, and Reg, trying to keep it real instead of what you usually get from these talking heads. It's Grapsody, we're here to fill the void. 3 black fans, different perspective, got to fill your voice. Coming with the podcast, talking majors, indies in between. Yeah, it's all that, and we're down with Fightful, better fall back. Coming for respect, we connect like a ball bat. No need to double check, these are all facts. You're listening to what's talk raps. You're listening to what's talk raps. Will, Phil, and Reg. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps.
Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk graps. And Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. And I hope you're having a great Christmas Eve. We sure are, or at least 3 of these 4 are. I'm not one of them, but welcome to another edition of Grapsody. I'm Will Washington, and I'm not alone here. I am joined by Philip Lindsey.
I don't know how to feel about that. You just threw us under the bus. How you know I'm having a good Christmas? How you know I didn't get up and have like this big existential crisis, man? Like,
True. That's true. Did you, Phil?
I didn't, but
okay. Just want to make sure.
Hey, hold up. What's the sweater, Phil?
That's it. It's a New Day shirt.
Oh, dope. Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
Also here is Righteous Reg.
Oh, yes, it's me. I'm in the building. It's your boy, your favorite rapper, your favorite writer, your favorite podcaster, media man. It's the end of the year, Christmas Eve. Hope everyone's having a good one, all enjoying all that shit. And if you're not celebrating, I hope you're also having a good one. And I hope this is just a good weekend for you and you get some coochie.
Please. And also here, we have a special guest. It's one you guys have asked for. We've mentioned it numerous times that at some point we are going to have this man here on the show with us, joining us on this Saturday, having a nice little, I guess, Saturday brunch, as he would call it. It's the one and only Cam Hawkins. Cam.
This is not coffee in my cup. Merry Christmas Eve. Thank y'all for having me. We get to spend the holidays with people we care about the most. I also get to spend it with some of the guys I respect the most. So thank you so much for having me. Absolutely.
That's what's up. We are interrupting brunch time too, man. We apologize for that. I know this usually out with a mimosa, a Latina, getting it lit. Like that's usually what time it is.
Yeah, there's still time. There's still time. It's holidays. It's an early NFL Saturday slate, so we might be able to make that happen. I'm gonna see who's open and make that move. Absolutely.
Yo, so as somebody that is new to double-digit follower land, and I've watched you in double-digit follower land, not just get into it with many, many people on numerous occasions, but now duck the shilling accusations like your boys. What has that been like?
It's so interesting where you got to remember there are people who never heard of you, like ever.
Yeah.
And so whenever you say something, there's a chance that somebody will treat you like they treat other people. And so me at AEW show that I paid for, of all the fun that I had, of all the moments you see me going crazy and just having a ball, a joke that I thought was a pretty well-received joke about, you feel you either love Judas or can't stand Judas, turned into you're not a real wrestling fan, and turned into I would never disrespect WWE like that. It's like, well, you don't work for either place, and nobody at either place even knows you exist. Your dollars fold into everybody else's dollars, and they might wipe their nose with your dollars. And why do you have a beard without a mustache? You know what I mean? But I think what happens is like the 3 of us have like spent time together, like in person. And I think so many people forget that like, we're just like real people, and that you could say what you say in a tweet and it'd be like, oh, that's crazy, you wild. And then have a conversation about it. But for some reason, tweets are written on stone tablets. That you apparently slap people in the face with every time you say something. And the only retaliation is to question your loyalty to something you have no business being loyal to.
Right.
Honestly,
weird.
And the weird thing is like the Judas thing, like you just gotta have fun with it. Like I at Forbidden Door, the AEW, as some may recall, cut to me on camera with me not singing Judas, and all of a sudden it like my mentions lit up because they're like, why is Will not singing Judas? And
I thought it was hilarious.
yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I thought it was funny, but no, Twitter, when they seek to just come for you for no reason and they all of a sudden don't understand humor, when Twitter is mostly people getting jokes off, all of a sudden people don't get jokes when they decide they want to come for you is one of the weirdest things about that app. But you're on the opposite side of the fence as Ringer guy, and I am a Bleacher Report guy. So watching people not call you an AEW show, but a WWE show, and a lot of your interviews have been AEW guys.
and it's the opposite for Phil, right? Where like, Phil, you work for Bleacher Report, and you get from a lot of people, AEW show because AEW runs on Bleacher Report, but like you've had articles featured on Raw.
Right. Doesn't add up. Don't line up.
I think the best way to describe it is like, it's typically like that level of stuff comes from people who, one, like are anonymous and pride themselves on anonymity, but they really come from a position of being holier than thou. And I'm going to call out every single injustice in either company, and anybody who not even skirts that, but anybody who wants to tell any other story must be in the pockets of blah, 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 blah. You know, like the worst thing that ever happened to me is them coming out and literally writing on the website, the Ringer has a working relationship with WWE. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Because the thing is, like, that don't got nothing to do with me.
Right,
They
exactly.
call me into a meeting and say, yo, just so you know, this is who we rock with now. That has no bearing on anything that I do.
Listen,
Like,
don't
at
write
all.
anything negative about these guys. Don't do any of that because nobody is having that conversation with us, guys. I don't know if you guys realize this. There is no mass email telling us we can't say anything negative about these companies because of some business relationship. That doesn't happen.
But you know, the odd thing is, to me, and we'll get into a lot of stuff here soon. So the part that gets me is I've been doing this. This is about to be year 18, right? And so the people who have been following me a long time, and I get this a lot, you know, it's like from people who have been longtime followers, they'll say, hey, Will, I see like you get the AEW show stuff a lot. And that's really weird to me because I've been following you for the last 15 to 16 years. I know some people who have been watching my content for 18 years. I appreciate a lot of you guys. I see some of you in the chat. Great stuff. And they'll be like, it's weird to me when I hear that, or like when I hear you being accused of being anti-WWE in a sense, because it's like, I've been listening to you cover all this stuff for ages. And like, I recognize people who are newer to me don't know my relationship with WWE, don't know that, look, I reached the burnout point in 2018, and I actively sought alternatives in a sense because I had just been covering it for so long, and it's literally all I covered for so long. Like, you know, here and there I would cover Impact, here and there I covered Ring of Honor, but for the most part it was just like WWE was the only thing I was known for. And so I made an attempt to cover both, and that became exhausting. I don't know how any of you guys attempt to do that, like especially during the Wednesday Night War. I remember Cam had both up at the same time, having Dynamite and Dynamite and NXT up at the same time, and I'm like, I can't even fathom that because it was just like it was too much. And so to me, I think I made the decision in 2020 that I was going to kind of back off of. I was like, look, I have 15 years to my credit of covering WWE stuff. I'm going to actively back off of that for now and focus covering AEW. And so for a lot of people who have discovered me in the last year, they're like, oh, Will, he's an AEW guy because all he ever talks about is AEW. Yeah, no shit. That was an active decision to start covering mostly AEW. Obviously, on this show, we cover kind of the whole gamut, but like as far as shows that I actively review, it's just Dynamite. I don't even review Rampage. I literally just review Dynamite. And so
You don't hear us talking about shows we don't enjoy that much on the show. We rarely talk about NXT because I don't watch it. I don't know.
Right.
It's and that to me is, like I said, if you've discovered me in the last year and some change, then yeah, you're gonna see a guy who mostly just talks about AEW and mostly only has like AEW things to say. That's because that was an active decision.
Well, you guys, a little announcement we made before the show are gonna make the accusations go up pretty immensely from here on
Sure.
out. Not being AEW Shields is about to change really.
I mean, it depends on how you feel about
Monday, baby.
it. Depends on how you feel how the interview went, because look.
Oh no,
I gotta
it's a screenshot. Like
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, and I know it's
They're not going to
be
listen to the interview. They're just going to.
detailed, and it's going to be thought provoking. And person who absorbs these things and looks for inspiration and points, I'm gonna love it. Boy, that screenshot of the four of you laughing at the same time, you're done. You're done.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You're done.
Be a screenshot of the three of you laughing and him being serious, so it looks like a fake laugh. You're done. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
So,
outta here.
and I will say that I guess officially, like we hinted at it for a little bit, but I didn't want to say anything until it was in the can. And now that it's been recorded, yes, this Monday, Grapsody interviews. We just recorded one with Tony Khan. It's the longest interview that we've done. We got a solid 90 minutes with Tony, and we pretty much asked everything that I think. And now that I said that, of course, shout out True God brought to my attention. I totally, it was like on the tip of my tongue. Totally forgot to ask about Adam Cole. But yeah, I know, right? Like,
Yeah, I had other stuff I wanted to ask, but
Son of a bitch.
yeah, I know, right? It was like, it was right there. And then he's like, he messaged me this morning. He said, "Did you ask about Adam Cole?" And I was like, damn, no. And it was like sitting there in the back of my mind. Other than that, yes, we do have an interview with Tony Khan that's dropping this Monday. It's 90 minutes, full podcast. And I would say it's fairly newsworthy. Somebody asked me for my new Mercedes Watch 2020 percentage, and I'll just
LOL is all I'm gonna
no.
say.
This is what I'll say about that. I will drop a new percentage when the interview drops.
Right.
My last percentage was, I believe, 69. Nice, but I haven't updated that percentage. There is a new one, but I think you guys need to hear the interview for the context of that percentage. And so I will drop the new one, but just know that it's been an evolving percentage, right? Because let's recap. I believe I said back in October, Sasha/Mercedes to AEW, gave it 2%, right? Was what I said. 2% chance of happening. I was like, 90% chance WWE, she's returning to WWE. That's what's happening. That's my gut feeling. I know that. And then, of course, when she wasn't at Survivor Series, and to me, there was no greater opportunity to bring her back than Survivor Series. Hometown, Boston, Massachusetts, TD Garden, sold out. You're never going to get a better opportunity than that. And when she wasn't there, I know some people were like, well, maybe it could be Royal Rumble. I
mean,
was like,
I'm some people,
I know, yeah, you were some people. I heard that from multiple people though. That was like, oh, maybe it could be Royal Rumble, and I thought, no, like you really aren't gonna get anything better than the hometown return though, and then on top of that, she was at the TD Garden watching a Celtics game 4 days later. And so I'm like, okay, so she's clearly in the vicinity.
1.7 million people watched that clip of her just waving at TD Garden. And I saw somebody, I'm not going to name any names, I saw somebody tweeting, why are we still talking about her? Like,
Come on.
come on, fam.
But-
like, stop.
But I saw the all of a sudden that's when my percentage started teeter-tottering, right? It was like, okay. But I still have my AEW percentage in single digits. And then it was like, oh, maybe she's doing something else. But the WWE percentage was lowering. And I was like, maybe Hollywood, maybe she's doing other things. And then the training stuff started coming out, and then all of that started shifting. Once then of course her trademarks under new names, all of a sudden it's like, all right, now we're starting to shift a little bit more. Then it's like the Japan rumors, and I'm like, okay, but still, that's just Japan. Like, that's not saying she's jumping companies. And then it was Soraya's got a mystery partner, and then it was like, okay, now we got to jump this over 60% because, and it's in LA, and it's in January, and the rumor has been January this entire time. Obviously, something's going down, but either way, we are almost there. But you know what, guys? We also have super chats. We also have humper chats. Send us your super chats throughout the show. Help support what we do here. YouTube.com/Fightful is where those super chats live. Our humper chats are at humperchats.com. You can send those at any point. Want to check out the super chat here? This one's from, since I brought that up, James Zimmerman said, a regular chat said, happy Christmas Eve, folks. But Kenneth Love said, why isn't Jade on the Fightful Woman of the Year list? She is, if I recall correctly, I'm looking at the list right now. The Woman's Overall Performer of the Year, Jade Cargill, is definitely nominated. She was not nominated for Best in Ring Year, but I wouldn't have nominated Jade for that. I think Jade has had a phenomenal year in terms of presence. She's had some good performances. She's had some even great performances. I think we were singing the praises of the match with Anna Jay that she had in the main event of Rampage. But I don't know. I still don't think it's a best in-ring performer year for her, but I think a best overall performer, she should be nominated, and she is nominated as far as best overall, which that category actually just dropped this morning. If you haven't got your votes in, FightfulSelect.com. Get those votes in for best overall performer. There's a lot of great nominees in here. I'll reveal my pick on the show. Wait. I just realized Deanna's on here twice. Wonder if Sean realized that when he was putting this category up. But
The fix is in.
No, that's going to screw Deanna because
It's gonna split that. Yeah.
yeah, it's going to split that vote. So, oops. Yes, Deanna is on here twice. That poll may need to get put back up, unless we're talking about Deanna from two different companies, which is.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I think that was a mistake. I think she got nominated twice, and somebody didn't realize that she was put in there 2 times. Either way, definitely get those votes in. A lot of the other categories had some surprising victories. We had yesterday best overall, best in-ring male performer. And I'm not going to reveal who that winner has been, but I think it was a surprising one, at least to me. I had who I thought in mind for it, but congratulations to that person, because it's kind of a far and away victory. It would take a lot to change that victory at this point. The polls haven't closed, but just looking at the disparity, I don't know how anybody gets close to the person winning now. Let's see. Tony P says happy holidays to Seahawk and the Fightful fam. Also, I didn't know I wanted Willow and Ruby to be the first women's tag champs in AEW, but here we are.
Good tag team. I'm excited about their match this week.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that they found their way back to them as a team, because Willow wasn't at Dynamite in Austin just a week ago, which Cam, by the way.
I'll tell you what, she was at, I think you mean the one in Dallas. She was at the one in Austin. She did.
Yeah, you're right. Dallas,
I think her and Burt Dixon did a dark match.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she wasn't at the one in Dallas because Dallas was the week before. You're right. She was in Austin because she was also, and then she wrestled Ring of Honor, and then she was not at Dynamite, and so they weren't able to run the angle with her and Ruby, and so they ended up just taping some stuff for Rampage this week, and then they ended up working Elevation in San Antonio, which you've been at 2 Dynamites in the last month.
WWE Shield Cam.
AEW hater. Cam Hawkins.
In the building. They get my hard-earned money. Oh, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Stanley? Yeah, he knows. There you go.
Yeah. And yeah, so either way, I'm happy for them as a team. I'm happy that they're going to be together as a team. I think that's going to be kind of a cool thing. I think AEW probably should, if they're not already, start kind of ramping up women's tag teams, and it feels like, you know, if you do have, you know, a team like Willow and Ruby, and the dynamic of Ruby being kind of a hardened, more serious women's competitor, and then you have Willow, who is kick-ass, but also she's got this infectious joy about her, and it kind of like annoys Ruby, but in an endearing way. I think that is a good combination for those two. You honestly, I don't think anybody expected Ty J to be together as long as they have been, because that was just kind of a makeshift team from that original women's tag team tournament that ended up becoming exactly what you kind of need for a tag team division. I think, honestly, I know that's something that people have talked about and that they want to do. They're pretty close to having, I think, all the elements they need for it. So, and then
at least bring back the Deadly Draw. I think at least just do another women's tag tournament if you're not going to introduce tag titles.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing was, like, because Cody kept talking about tag titles. Cody kept saying he wanted to see tag titles in the women's division. And when people would ask Cody, like, hey, when are you doing trios titles? He would go, don't you want to see women's tag titles first? And the response to that was usually, well, you have trios. You don't really have women's tag teams, so no. But I think because, you know, I think the approach... I didn't necessarily like the approach in 2018 WWE took to women's tag titles, mostly because they formed tag teams as a necessity for the belts rather than bringing in belts as a necessity for tag teams. And I think that was kind of the wrong approach to it. I think the tag team should have existed longer. And then you could say, well, now we need women's tag titles. Whereas at the time, it was like we brought in these titles and then they were like, hey, do you want to team up? Do you want to team up? How about you guys? And it was like, look, it was really just Bayley and Sasha. That was the tag team people wanted. And so I think I would like to see a different approach of, hey, all of these teams exist. They need something to vie for. That would be my approach. Right. Corey says, Britt offered Saraya tickets to LA and for her to sit front row to watch. She could take that offer and bring in Naomi and Sasha. Happy holidays. I don't know. I think people are like really over analyzing the ticket aspect of it. I keep hearing people go, well, if she picks a partner, who are the tickets for? I don't think, I think it was just a way for Britt to introduce the idea. I don't think the tickets actually matter at all. But I do keep hearing that. I have seen the tickets brought up consistently. I genuinely don't think anybody involved in that angle, and this is just me guessing, anybody involved in the angle has thought about the tickets beyond them being a prop for Saraya to just get invited to the show.
Yeah. Speaking of tag teams, I just thought about it. Aren't they officially 4 years old now because they were introduced on the Christmas episode, right?
Oh wow. Women's tag titles?
Yeah, that's right, because that was Vince, as Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's right. In the Santa Claus costume saying, we're going to have women's tag titles and the greatest of all time, John Cena is back.
I still think like they shouldn't be an NXT women's tag team championship.
No.
There should be just WWE tag team titles.
Right.
Yeah. They should be floating titles.
Yeah, and it's not the women that are in NXT aren't like, for the style that they're asking them to do, they are not so far behind women on the main roster. And in some ways, some of them are at a higher level to where that should be, like you said, those should be the floating titles. They should exist between both shows. And that's a chance for people to get like that exposure. You're already asking them in some aspects to do half the work as a tag team. And so it's a way to get the crowd familiar with them. It's a way to have, meaningful, not just feuds, but just meaningful matches on television that people get to see. And so you don't have things like, bless her heart, a Tegan Knox come back from injury and people say, you know what I mean? Like there are ways to make these people just more popular, more your audience more familiar with them. There should not be, if you have 8 teams, there shouldn't be 2 sets of titles. It just shouldn't.
Right.
Tegan has been a part of 3 tag teams, by the way, and now she is like, what is she doing? 3 tag teams.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like the only reason I can see why they didn't want to keep the idea of floating tag titles around was, I know for a fact that as far back as like 2021. I know in 2019 there was this idea of, NXT third brand kind of deal, but I think right around mid 2020 to 2021, they were like, okay, Vince is very adamant, and I don't necessarily blame him for that, about there being a hierarchy. There needs to be a separation of like, you on the main roster are just in a different echelon from the people in NXT. And so they didn't necessarily want the tag teams of NXT to even seem like they're remotely on the level of the tag teams that are on the main roster. And now that I say that, of course, the New Day won the men's tag titles.
I was about to say that time's dead.
Yeah, it's over.
Well, I mean, so I think it's still true nonetheless, and I think we see that in various aspects. Look at Braun Breaker, for example, right? Like, Braun Breaker seems like a really big deal in NXT. He is the champion. He is a guy who comes off like somebody who does dominate that brand. But the 2 times he worked Raw this year seemed like a fish out of water. He did not seem like he even remotely belonged on that roster yet, or in front of that crowd yet.
I see what you did there. You brought up fish, and I see that.
No, he didn't though, and I think it's interesting that watching NXT, it feels like Braun's almost there, right? But then it was like once he was on Raw, you were like, oh, he's got a ways to go, and you don't necessarily see that. And I think that distinction does need to exist between NXT and main roster, so that there's not necessarily an unrealistic expectation of, oh, somebody who's made it in NXT can make it anywhere, because once you get to that main roster, it's a little bit different, and that's not even a knock.
Yeah, like you can have your Dolph Zigglers and your, to a lesser extent, a Mandy Rose and a New Day go down to play AAA ball.
Yes.
In some ways, it's to get their mojo back after something went awry. In some ways, you want to see how your other talent plays around them or against them. So going up is a different thing. Once you're up, you should be up.
Yes,
and that should be standard, absolutely. And they got guys down there. You got your Mellows, who as soon as you want him up there, he's going to be everything you've ever dreamed of.
Definitely.
I think Zoe Stark is like really good. I think she's really good. I don't know if there's a character for her yet that is going to make her anything outside of, hey, I can really wrestle.
Right.
I think, look, if Ivy Nile and Zoe Stark were one person, they'd be a star. You know
Definitely.
what I mean? But I think that Ivy Nile has a ways to go with character. But gee, who else looks that good? You know what I mean? Like her physique is insane. They got a few people down there, but I look at like a Mello. As soon as you want him up there, I think he can be up there. I actually think Pretty Deadly's like really, really good. Like, they're sneaky good, and them working with New Day, I think, is them showing, hey, we're gonna have it. But yeah, going from down there to just even hanging out on the main roster, I do agree. That's you do see the difference right away. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's still stupid to have 2 sets of women's tag.
I do still think that's dumb though. Yeah, I do still think that part is dumb though.
Let's see. So we got. Let's go with some Humper chats. Let's see. Harley Queen says, first time Humper chatter, missed the live Ask Grapsody and wanted to say that the only logical song to license for Mercedes and AEW is Bossy by Khalees. The lyrics are spot on. Okay.
That's pretty good. I mean, we got the full cover of it for CBO on Flex.
Oh, yeah. No. Please don't remind me.
All right, we got to answer the question. I want to pose the same question to Cam. It was asked to us in Ask Grapsody. If you, knowing Tony Khan and his penchant for licensing music, if you had to license a song for Mercedes and AEW, what song is it?
Oh, it's that specifically a heavily edited Cardi's verse on Glorilla's song. Of course.
Yeah,
course.
see,
Okay.
I said Glorilla too.
Yeah,
I'm like,
going
man.
directly to
Hype.
like 2022. That I went to California earlier this year, and my old lady, she was just playing that Glorilla back to back. I was like, yo, this is aggressive. And can I curse on here? I don't know.
Yeah, of course
Yes.
you can.
Oh, this is aggressive pussy talk. I like this. I want some of this. And so, yeah, man, I would love that aggression. I think that like Boss is a fantastic song. I think it fits the bill. I think it's kind of thumb to the nose at WWE in some ways, and that's cool. But like, I think that a big reason people talk about Sasha Banks, Mercedes being there is, and people ask me this: how do you make AEW current? How do you make AEW mainstream? I don't know if you can make wrestling mainstream, but if that's the goal you want to go with a hot act right now today. Like everything, nostalgia is great, but everything shouldn't be nostalgia. Some things should be in the now. You know what I mean? So like, get something current. Get something like some Glorilla or one of these women that men hate because they're doing the exact same thing.
See, and I went with Megan Thee Stallion for my answer, by the way.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Treat this thing like it's happening right now. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Speaking of Megan, I feel like that's a topic we can't avoid here. And I don't know that I want to avoid it. Because, of course, a lot of Tory Lanez fans, I want to say they were real quiet this morning, but they really haven't been.
No, they weren't quiet.
Some of them have been quiet. I ain't seen academics say nothing, bro. He been,
I watched the stream last night. He was. I've never seen him that sad. Like it's. I'm gonna let y'all go. I have a lot of thoughts.
That's wild.
I mean, look, there were a lot of people who I think were sure as hell for showing a lot of faith in a system that I thought they.
You thought this was gonna work in favor of a black man, you guys? Come on,
Yeah.
let's just like, you know what I mean? Like,
I
let's
know.
just look at this.
There's a lot of faith in the system, and I thought, what are you thinking here? But also, just on the other side of it, it's a lot of people said who are on the Tory Lanez side of things, don't worry, the truth will come out. And
What does that even mean?
But what's interesting though is when people say that, they never actually mean the truth. What they mean is the side that vindicates what I believe.
Right.
Because as far as the ruling is concerned, Tory Lanez found guilty, all 3 charges, looking at 20 years and possible deportation. And it was one of those things where I almost forgot Tory Lanez is Canadian until all of this came up. And then I'm like, oh yeah, deportation. That is exactly how that works. And it's like, so do you still feel that the truth came out, or do you now feel that it's all lies? Because you can't necessarily have it both ways.
You guys been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it for a long time. And think about when the topic of Saraya of Paige comes up. And it's about having her in your company, or should she wrestle, or do you agree with this opinion? And so often it goes back to her sexual history in NXT.
Yeah.
Like even with when she was dating Alberto Del Rio and married or whatever they were, whenever something would go awry with them, it would go back to her sexual history and bad decisions. You know what I mean? So we exist in this space now where the dumbass kids who couldn't get women based on their features or the respect for their community, they have an internet presence now. And so everything that a woman with any type of autonomy does automatically goes back to it being her fault because she's some type of whore, right? And so you saw with Saraya, and still to this day, you'll start a conversation about her, and you'll see a still of her in the NXT Women's title,
Right?
Or the Divas title or whatever, and
Yes.
it's nasty. And so, like, this whole idea that because Meg slept with all these people, it caused an uprising in her friend group, which led to her being shot, and she should be held accountable for that. It's like, that's not how any of this works.
That's not how this works.
No,
You should not
you don't get shot.
Yeah, that's not how this works.
Like the crime was still committed, regardless of how you feel about how she's treating people interpersonally. That isn't from a place of violence, and so that's what I think. I think a lot of people who take solace in slut shaming thought that somehow the universe was going to reward that. And it's like, yo, you got mad and shot the lady because she was fucking somebody or somebody else was fucking somebody, and it's like that's not justifiable in any court.
No,
whatsoever.
zero courts,
Like,
no
zero
courts in the
courts.
That's not how
world.
it
That's
works.
okay.
Yeah, so yeah, man, and again, like it's a sad day for men who only have women because of money or views. It's a sad day for them. What I don't feel bad for them. They're going to I don't know. They'll cry into their laptops. And what really got me, I was watching Academics last night, and Fresh and Fit are on there, and they are just the best example of this only exists because I found some money, and I'm going to milk this for all it's worth. And it's nasty. Do I watch it because it's terrible? I absolutely do. I contribute to the problem. But just watching them say, like, listen, a lot of people eat Cheetos for breakfast. I don't do that. I just watch bad internet stuff.
Yeah.
But watching them specifically say, well, no man should feel safe now. Nah, I feel pretty safe.
Oh, come on. Yeah, I feel
Look,
Look, I ain't shooting nobody. Like, I think I feel okay.
I feel good. I feel good that I'm not going to get so mad at a woman for choosing somebody outside of me once or twice or 48 times is going to lead to me pulling a gun on her. Like, I do not think that those are going to be my expectations of the situation at all.
I don't know.
Also, but I'm still going to listen to 48 Floors. It's like my favorite jogging song. It's fantastic. The breakdowns are amazing. But no, like, enjoy Prison because you shot a lady in the foot. I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah, I don't really understand Fresh and Fit in their existence as people that hate women, and that's kind of their market. That's their brand. I don't really understand that. It's kind of in the same vein as the Cameron Samuel stuff, and I just don't really get the appeal of it. But it is what it is. I just think there's no real winner in this whole situation because I even if you don't think that Tory shot her, which all the evidence seems to suggest that he did, no, he was moving crazy. How do you go to a party in California, not where you're from, by the way, and you're at like the whitest of the white clout chasers' houses, and you are potentially with two women that you have had sex with, and they both don't know this. Like all that scenario in itself is crazy, and then on top of that, you're drinking in the process, and you have a gun on you.
Right.
No, all of that is crazy. And so even if you think he did not shoot this woman, no, he was extremely irresponsible, and he put those women in a bad situation. There's no way of getting around that.
Like a budding rap star, like the future of the whole business. Like he put all of her shit like in a predicament because he's wilding. You know, he's a wild, Napoleon complexed young rapper nigga. It's like you can't. It's just bad all around, like you're saying, on both sides. It's just not good.
It just sounds crazy, and I think that when you hear people on that side say that the truth was going to come out, I think they thought that they were going to expose this side of Megan that people didn't know, and people were going to come out of this like, oh, well, she's an awful person. Hey, you can get into this, whatever. She may have done things that night that did make her look good, but she didn't deserve to get shot. Like,
she did.
No, like, so I think all of this looks really bad. And I'm not saying that there's no winner in this to say that Megan comes out of this looking bad, but I do think that Megan is going to have to deal with a lot of the nonsense of this for a long time. And this isn't going to be something that goes away just because he was found guilty. I just feel bad for her. I feel bad that she has to deal with this. And all of this stuff that Tory had going during the pandemic just immediately went away because he just made some bad decisions.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Wonga05 sent in a super chat, says it's already Sunday down here, so Merry Xmas, fellas. Been fun listening each week since I found out about the show in April. Thank you, Wonga, for listening.
That's awesome.
For the last.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, 8 months. Thank you. Appreciate it. Small Snippets of Life says, Reg, are flips better than fists?
Come on, it's Christmas, of course. 1,000,000%. I'll take flips every time. Flips over fists. I don't care.
Hey man, y'all got this. This is been a long time coming as a big time Young Bucks defender
Yep.
in Righteous Reg and I don't want to say anti Young Bucks guy, but a Young Bucks detractor. I will say that.
We're on two sides of the fence for sure. Two sides of the fence.
And a known Uso guy. So
I'll tell you what. I was at Dynamite on Wednesday. We talked about this a little bit before the show. Wasn't the biggest fan of Game 4, and I think the biggest thing about it, what I'm realizing is
It was Game 5 this week, by the way.
it was Game 5. Yeah. Pivotal Game 5. That's meant to be seen on television. You know what I mean? Like, I went back and looked at it and appreciated it more. That specific style is meant to be seen on television. My biggest thing is this, and I feel like we've talked about it and I've expressed it. It not being my thing in particular doesn't mean it's not very good and very effective.
Right.
And I think that of that style, they're
Randy Orton.
absolutely the best at it. Like, there's no question in that. But man, I just want to see somebody get hit in the fucking face sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, of course, a huge Usos fan. I think they're amazing and great and all that. But I tell you what, when I look at a guy like Julius Creed in NXT, that's what jumps off the page at me. Big, athletic, throw you around, come in like a house of fire, 1,000,000 miles an hour, and can do all the stuff. Like, I was huge into American Alpha, like back when that was the jam, but more into American Alpha than I was DIY or AOP. Like, I'm kind of specific with that. Love how far Angelo Dawkins has come when I watch the Street Profits. I think they're really good. Flips are dope. I love flips. Flips are cool, man. If I have to choose one, you not leaving your feet and punching somebody and suplexing them across the arena, that's what I want to see.
So,
they're cool.
so you should be an FTR fan.
Well, listen, I tell people all the time, FTR paid my rent a couple of months ago. Of course I'm an FTR fan.
So, you know what's interesting to me, though? I will say this. As a fan of both FTR and the Young Bucks, because people know this about me. If it pleases a crowd, that to me is the most effective thing in pro wrestling. That's the only thing I care about, is that if you're getting crowd reactions, because if you're doing your style and at the end of the day, like, I'm like, well, this is good, but like you're getting no reaction, then that shit sucks. Like, that's the end of it for me, is that the biggest things in pro wrestling are the things that move a crowd. And at the end of the day, I have not ever seen a crowd not move for the Young Bucks. And so at the end of the day, that to me is the most effective thing they do.
That Rampage months ago, where it was them and the Lucha Brothers in LA.
Ontario. June.
That solidified it for me. And again, I'm somebody who did not see them a whole bunch before AEW started. And then I wasn't every week AEW guy at first until it's like, oh, like, this is really a thing. This is required. Like, we need to make sure we're paying attention to this. But when I saw how the crowd reacted to like that match and the cage match, I was just like, whatever I'm saying, let me make sure I adjust the way that I'm saying, because they are like, that's the thing. If you're super serving your audience, it's good. Like, there's no two ways about that. Personal taste got to go out the window if you see it working.
Well, and so I look at it this way, as somebody whose personal taste kind of can go either way. Like I said, love Young Bucks, love FTR. The reason for me that overall, I think this year it's a FTR over Young Bucks year, easily. But overall, the reason I'm still Young Bucks over FTR is, put simply, when you think about what both teams are the best at, I believe that the Young Bucks accomplish what they're looking to accomplish more often and more consistently than FTR has at trying to accomplish what they're looking to accomplish. And what I mean by that is that when you think about the Young Bucks and having crowd-pleasing matches and things along those lines, very few misses as far as they're concerned. When you look at the Young Bucks, or when you look at FTR and the type of matches that they have, when they hit, right? We're talking about the Briscoes just a couple weeks ago, probably my match of the year. But they've also had some misses. FTR has had quite a few misses when they were in there with Santana.
Not that many this year.
No, not that many this year, but they are one of the few teams that's had some misses with the Lucha Bros. They're one of the few teams that's had some misses with Santana and Ortiz. And what I mean by that is the Young Bucks style computes with everyone they get in the ring with, including FTR. FTR style doesn't necessarily compute with everybody. And so it's like you got to put them with the best team that complements their style for it to work. And when it does work, it works. But when it comes to the Young Bucks, you put them with literally anybody. You put them with FTR. You put them with Santana Ortiz. You put them with Butcher and the Blade. Their shit just clicks with everybody that they tie up with.
They're the greatest of all time.
I mean,
So
the Young Bucks are more giving as a tag team. I think that they allow the other team to get their shit off more.
But like I said, FTR's had some duds. When they're not duds, they're great. But they have had, the first time that people walked away from that Lucha Bros match and were like, why did that suck? Well, that shouldn't have sucked because Lucha Bros are great. FTR is great. What happened? And
I sucked though.
It had a rough ending, but then we learned that somebody got hurt in that match, and that was why ultimately they. But we didn't find that out till later. But at the time, it was like, why didn't this hit? Something was off here.
I think there's a lower degree of difficulty for the Young Bucks. And what I mean is moves that don't go 100% correctly are not held against them. I think that they're attributed to their style. And so, hey, I did miss this Meltzer driver by 3 feet, but tassels, yay!
Yeah.
Come on.
Am I being hyperbolic? Yes.
A little bit.
But what I'm saying is, like, I think that when you pioneer a style, which they very much have, I think when you pioneer a style,
That the Usos stole.
you are given more grace when things don't hit perfectly, and when you're not marketed as a team that's supposed to be crisp and exact like an FTR is. There's a difference in the marketing. I think that the Bucks are smash mouth in a, I don't know, kite when it's really windy style. And I think that they're given a little grace when everything isn't 100% perfect. But I think that's a part of their charm.
I am going to completely rebut that they've been giving grace, because they have not been giving grace on a lot of things.
Well, the people who don't like them aren't going to like them.
Well, wait, hold on though,
Like,
because
that's not gonna change.
we've seen a lot of allegations about their matches not being good storytelling. It's just spot fest, and that has never been true.
Which is not true. Yeah. Like,
and-
they just have.
I feel like there are a lot of people that have these like notions about the Young Bucks as a tag team and as people that people just run with, no matter how many times it's been proven false. Look, I still have not gotten over that we had to listen to for days people accusing them of cultural appropriation based off of that sneaker shopping episode. And we've seen numerous white wrestlers go on this show and didn't have the same thing said about them at all. It's just completely ridiculous.
Yeah, that was.
You think they be telling stories, Phil?
Yeah, they do. First off, I am gonna say that. I am gonna say. And I've been saying this for weeks. I'm going to keep hammering this in. The Best of 7 series, to me, has been some of the best storytelling in professional wrestling today. And a big piece of that is that if you can get a narrative across without a promo, if you can get a narrative across without a backstage segment, if you can get a narrative across without any words being said, to me, that's the best narrative you could possibly get across in professional wrestling, when you've let the wrestling tell the story. And for 5 straight matches, they have let the wrestling tell the story, that people have walked away from that going, okay, I know what's going on. I know that there's a story of this hammer. We know that there's a story of the that the Lucha Bros have cheated at every turn, that the Young Bucks and Kenny can't seem to get ahead of these guys, and that they've had to change the game in order to make things work. Also, you have the story of Rey Fenix not necessarily being fully on board with cheating, but knowing that it works, so why not go with it? You have the story of Nick Jackson's ankle. You've had the story of Matt Jackson having to be the savior here. You've had the story of Kenny having his triumphant comeback, but at the same time, he's not been able to score a pinfall in any of this. All of that narrative has been told throughout the matches. They've been playing, making references back to each match. They've been telling a story in the ring without having to say a word. And the fact that people even get that and pick up on all of it, I think, is a testament to true quality storytelling in a ring.
Can I tell you why I don't like the internet, Will? And I'm not refuting anything you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Phil said what he said, and I asked the question, you think they be telling stories? And Corey in the chat said, nasty take. See, what was my take?
Not a take, it's a question. And yes, I do think they tell stories. Not just in the series.
And that's the thing. I defer to the experts with stuff like this.
I
think the Young Bucks have the very best publicists in the entire world? Absolutely.
Do they?
Boy, you guys can tell the tale. But I'm not refuting anything you're saying. Like, smart people sit back and watch these things and explain to you what's going on, and you say, okay. But yeah, there's no take.
No, it's just a question. And I do think they tell stories. I think that this idea that they don't has gotten kind of over exaggerated. But I also think that there are things that they do very well that some of their haters don't give them any credit on. But a lot of those people don't watch Young Buck matches. They just have this idea of who they are based on this reputation they created before AEW existed. Because for a long time, they were presented as anti-WWE guys in a lot of ways, not just because of things they were saying, but because of their style of wrestling. And so a lot of WWE fans don't like them for that reason. And it isn't based on, anything that's real about their style of wrestling. They just decided, no, they're the enemy. And so, a lot of these takes that people throw at them, you could throw at other tag teams, but they don't because they're not presented as the enemy.
I think when we talk about the Young Bucks, everybody knows I'm the biggest Adam Cole fan on the planet, and there ain't that much separation between them.
No,
I think that my thing with Adam Cole is I think he speaks truth to power, and there's just he is my type of jerk to where I know how good I am, but I don't want you to be good too. I love him. I think Adam Cole's amazing. I think that the best story the Young Bucks have told was deferring to Adam Cole in a way, and then the problems between them and Red Dragon. The Young Bucks tell a very good story. To me specifically, when they're the focal point of it, it's not my favorite thing, but I like what's going on with them in the Lucha Bros. I think that two things. I think the hammer thing wore itself out for me around match 3. I think that
I actually agree, but
if this was a best of 5, I'd probably be way more into what's going on than it being a best of 7. And I didn't like how, I think it was at the Austin show, how Kenny at the end, I know I'm out of breath, but I'm going to give you a whole bunch of words about why this should continue. And I'm like, no, I see it, just do it. I don't need to hear all that. But no. The intricacies of what they do as a team that is new to me and isn't necessarily my style, I need people like Will Washington and Phil Lindsey and Righteous Reg to explain to me what's going on. You know what I mean? Admittedly, you tell me that's what's going on, and I'm going to look at it through that lens. They're fine. They're fine, Reg.
See, that changes my whole perspective. I didn't know that you were a new Young Bucks fan. I've been watching these guys wrestle since 2000.
I thought that was pretty clear. A lot of people that don't like them are new fans.
They're new to it.
They're new to me trying to explain. Twitter. How does this guy have a job in wrestling when he hasn't been watching Japanese wrestling since 1998?
Yeah,
he's not up at 4 a.m. with the rest of us. Why? You kiss my ass, okay?
Yeah. I hate that. I hate those takes. That shit's whack.
You know what's interesting to me, and on the other end, because I love listening to people. I love listening to people's perspective. And for those who've been following me long enough, I'm going to take you guys on a journey back to the 2019 RBR Year-End Awards. And people will recall we did, not Year-End Awards, the Decade End Awards going into 2020. And I had some exposure to the Young Bucks because I watched a lot of Impact, but it was mostly like Generation Me stuff, right? But I hadn't really gotten into a lot of what they had done with the Bullet Club, what they had done Ring of Honor, what they had done. That's all stuff I got into, like hindsight, boredom, and the pandemic. But we were doing our Decade End Awards. I had given my tag team of the decade to the Usos. And it was actually Maxwell Bombach. Maxwell Bombach had actually given Tag Team of the Decade to the Young Bucks. And he made a compelling argument to me as to why he believed it was actually the Bucks. And he was like, look, the Bucks actually pioneered the style that you're giving the Usos credit for, Will. And I was like, and I everything, all the points I made about why I thought it was the Usos, Maxwell had kind of hammered into me as to why it was actually the Bucks. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe I disagree, but I don't necessarily know that I can fully say that. So then I went and I was like, all right, especially in those pandemic months, you don't have shit else to do. I went back and I watched a lot of stuff. People are like, Will, I don't remember you being so like up on Bullet Club history. It's because I watched the entire history of the Bullet Club in like 2 weeks. And so that was, I went back 2014 to now, and I'm pretty fairly caught up on a lot of that stuff. And so for me, it was like, I came away from it going, I had the wrong idea about the Bucks that entire time. And mainly it was because like, Generation Me was really all I knew. And there was some good stuff in that time period.
That's a crazy thing to know them for, by the way. Watching them now and only know Generation Me is kind of crazy.
Because that's a name.
Yeah, that was the thing. Was I knew the Young Bucks as two young dudes whose last name was Buck, but Max and Jeremy Buck, right? And that was, but that was what I knew. And so to kind of have all of that kind of embedded in me, and then I was like, okay, now watching what the Young Bucks do, and again, like I said, my all-time favorite match is still Kenny and Hangman versus the Young Bucks. Like that match did a lot for me in terms of storytelling, in terms of action, in terms of crowd pleasing. Did everything I could want a match to do. And now, looking at it all, I'm like, okay, I could definitely see this is one of the most influential tag teams. Pretty much.
Is that your favorite Young Bucks match? Or just,
I mean, it's my favorite match, period. Like, that's my boredom watch. That is I need something on in the, just, all right, I'm in a bad mood. Let me throw on a match that I know is going to make me happy. I'm going to throw that on. It's usually that or like WrestleMania 30's ending. If you give me just those last 5 minutes of Daniel Bryan making Batista tap out, that's one of those that'll put me in a good mood. But it's either that or I'll throw on Revolution just to get that match in. I watch it all the time. At least I've probably watched it like twice a month for the last 2 years. And
you know what? I think about that. You said that WrestleMania moment. This is gonna sound crazy. I was there live, and that moment didn't hit as hard as it should have because the streak fucked us all up. So, like I was still just like, we were all just sitting there like, what? Still just like, what just happened? It was very confusing. Like,
can I tell you,
such
though,
a confusing moment.
Watching at home, I've also watched the streak ending back. I've probably seen that 1,000 times. That is the funniest shit.
That was real.
Funnier in pro wrestling than that 1, 2, 3, and that sound of the crowd. Like everybody just sitting down, like, all right, he's gonna kick out. What the fuck? Like every time I watch it, I find somebody different's face, and I just focus on that one person to see how they react and how all of a sudden they're like, wait. Undertaker's not undefeated no
Bryan
more.
Danielson is my favorite wrestler. I loved him, and at that moment, I'm just like, Undertaker, though, dude. What happened? Like, what the hell happened here?
Whoa, how times have changed.
Yeah, they changed a lot.
Speaking of matches in person, were you at the match where the Young Bucks faced the Golden Lovers in Long Beach, Rich?
No, I was not at that show.
No.
Every time something great
Phil, weren't you at that match?
I was like on a cruise or something. Something crazy was going on.
I wasn't there, but that is, to me, one of the greatest Young Buck matches ever. Yeah. But I just assumed you were there because that's Long Beach. That's like right across from you.
Anytime a cool New Japan show happened, something was going on. It's weird.
Yeah.
Hey, well, we got to ask you a question real quick. I just got a question. Mm-hmm. Does Ray J make better music than Kanye because he hit it first?
Come on.
Wait a minute.
Come on.
Wait. Wait.
It's just a question.
No, but I feel like there's a different. I feel like that's a different. I feel like there's a different question though. Hold on, wait a minute.
It was him.
I want to answer this question though, because I don't think anybody talks about Ray J for that reason though. Like I feel like Ray J kind of has like an underrated body count. Like I mean,
it's not underrated. He's outside. He's outside.
He's outside. So I think what makes it underrated is that it's Ray J.
Well, first off, what the hell does any of that have to do with the music? Like,
but that's where I was going with this. So
you said no, right? Okay.
So I'm saying no because him hitting it first. That's just listen. We know Ray J's body. Like I mean, pause or whatever. But
listen, if you hit it first and then the guy that comes behind you hits it exactly like you did, then something's going on.
Like,
you can at least be like, look, he watched my tape. I know he did. I know he watched my tape.
Somebody in the chat did kind of put it together, and I'm gonna miss the analogy perfectly, but like, who was the first pass catching running back? Like, who could really do it? There's a name that I'm not gonna think about, right? But when Marshall Faulk started doing it, it was like, oh, we can just line him up as a fifth receiver, and they don't got a linebacker who can cover him. And it wasn't years and years and years till it was like, okay, we got to keep a nickel out here all the time, right? I think that if we give the Young Bucks credit for the Uso style, which is perfectly fine, I'm not refuting history, right? Me seeing that with guys 20 pounds heavier, where it looks to me like them kicks and punches hit a little bit harder, that's going to appeal to me. You know what I mean?
Listen,
so like you can absolutely pioneer something and be great at it, and then somebody remix it a little bit or add a different flavor to it. And even if that flavor is just my shoulders are a little bit wider and I talk a little bit blacker, right? That's going to be for me like, okay.
I got you. No, I understand and that works, but like you went to a show the other day because of these two guys.
Fuck you! I did what?
You went to the.
I did what?
You went to an AEW show because of these two guys. There wouldn't be that show without those guys.
Yeah.
The show exists because of those guys.
And that was another thing for me.
And the other guys are the sidekicks of the main guy.
No doubt. And that was another thing for me too, as far as the effect that they have on the crowd. The fact that
this show exists because of these guys.
Okay.
They didn't.
I got one.
Pioneer style.
I got one Usos question, by the way.
Real quick, Will. But just to say it, I absolutely acknowledge that this company exists because of what the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega brought to wrestling. Ain't no doubt about that. Like I listen, respect to the creators. Like there's no way around that. You got to show love to that. Absolutely. But guess what? I'll cross James Naismith over right now. He won't know what it is. Okay? All right? You don't know nothing about these moves, Danny.
All right, we got other stuff we got to get to. By the way, I appreciate this conversation. No, this is a great show.
I don't know, man. All of the I don't believe the Young Bucks can really fight stuff. I never really understood that debate.
Man.
It's wrestling.
Look, and the reason I agree with that side of it is because you know who else I don't believe can really fight, but has positioned himself like he can? Triple H. That man does not come off like somebody who could actually fight.
You trying to say H ain't got hands? Like
no, he does not move like somebody who looks like he's got hands. But at the same time, hey, he has been able to position himself as the toughest guy on earth, and so at the end of the day, I'm like, look, it's pro wrestling. There have been plenty of guys who
Paul Orndorff beat Vader's ass. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Matt Jackson. Hey, listen, Matt Jackson won me over when he hit like 5 Northern Lights suplexes in a row. Because my thing, as much as I want to fight, I like run fast, jump high guy. And I was like, oh, he's an athlete. Like this isn't just jumping from high places. He's an athlete.
And Nick that guy.
Then show respect, like where respect is due. Like they don't like they can fight, but when you look like you could get out there, you can get to the gym and do some stuff, even if it's just you jumping around on some mats. I'm like, okay, yeah, absolutely,
yeah, absolutely. The other thing I will say, so we can move on, is that I think that some people that are just now becoming Young Buck fans, or they only know them from AEW, I can get not understanding the appeal because that first year of them in AEW isn't indicative of who they were in Ring of Honor or New Japan. Right. And I think them coming in and trying to give other guys space to move up the ladder first and put other guys over, it made them look like they weren't that special to some people. But it
is interesting that when AEW started, everybody was kind of levying the accusations at them of like, okay, we know what's about to happen. They are going to book themselves in all these positions. And then like everybody said, we're not going to do that, and almost went too hard in the opposite direction, right? Like the Young Bucks came in and were like, we're going to lose to Private Party in the first Dynamite match we have as a tag team. And then we're going to turn around and lose to Santana and Ortiz at the first pay-per-view. And then at the first pay-per-view after Dynamite. And then it was like, okay, Kenny and Hangman. They even lost to a makeshift tag team and those guys. And they were just kind of left and right, like not taking the top spots. Everybody thought Kenny was going to come in, take the top spot, be champion. He eventually was champion, but it took a year and a half for that to happen. And it was like, nah, Kenny came in and he actually put over Moxley. He put over Pac. He put over Jericho, which I don't know how you put over Jericho. But either way, Jericho beat him. But that didn't happen. Cody was the same deal where everybody was like, all right, we know what this is. Cody's going to make himself champion. We know what this is going to be. And it was like, nah, he actually made sure he can't be champion. And
how'd that work out?
And that was back in WWE. And so I guess point being was, I don't know. Just take the shit as it's worth. It's on TV. We got a bunch of Humper chats, though, that I got to get to because we got a big one. Thank you so much, Jennifer. This one, she says, happy holidays, gents. Making some holiday lasagna and crab rangoon for the fam. So can't be in the chat, but want you all to have the best. First off,
thank you so much, Jennifer. That's amazing.
Beautiful.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, and the food sounds bomb too. Like,
I know that's what I mean. The food sounds bomb. Jennifer, I'm trying to pull up with Jennifer and get some holiday lasagna and crab rangoon from home.
Yeah.
What?
That sounds bomb.
Wait, did you ever ask your question about the Usos? I've been sitting here thinking that. Didn't you say I have a question for you about the Usos?
Yeah. No, my question about the Usos is it's a two-part question.
Okay, media scrum, Will.
Okay,
come on.
Ready? Two-part question. Number one. When the Usos listen to rap music, do you think they say nigga? And two, would you be mad if they did?
One, yes, they do. Number two, are you mad?
Listen. Like, if you were just sitting around, y'all were just sitting there listening to music, and then all of a sudden...
Listen. I have maybe had to have a conversation in the last 18 months or so with someone who maybe shouldn't always rap the lyrics to songs. It was a good conversation.
You got caught up into some little controversy. I remember there was a video.
Everything's worked out better. And I think that a lot of people, I mean, you got to be told, you know what I mean? Like, I'm from San Antonio. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. And so there's a lot of people who it was just always what they did because it's always what they did. And they're receptive to being like, nah, that's not what we do.
Listen, I live in the Bay Area, California, with a lot of Samoan brothers, and
it'd be like
you tell somebody that's 400 pounds and 6'8", you can't say that.
Could be rough, but I've been listen. I would absolutely think it wasn't cool if we had a conversation about it and it kept going. You know what I mean? Like, be like, bro, like you do whatever you want to do, but when we kicking it, it can't be that. You know, but do I think so for sure? You saw Roman. Bag. You know, and what's crazy? It's not just them being Samoan or Polynesian from wherever. It's a bunch of guys who were in college locker rooms and sometimes pro locker rooms, and you got the Usos who was training out there in Houston. It's a lot. It's a lot. Right. And so, did they get it honest? I think so. Should they do it? Absolutely. Absolutely not.
I will say that I do believe, because again, there's nuance to everything. I do think there is such a thing as nigga entrapment, and I do believe, honestly, that no, it's true. Look, honestly,
Nigga entrapment is a wild.
yeah, because I think that if you are a black artist and you're doing a white artist song, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's actually entrapment to use the N-word on a white artist song. Because at that point, like, for example, we'll take all the artists who have done songs with G-Eazy, right? And dropping the N-word on G-Eazy songs. But it's like, at the same time, G-Eazy's got like all these white girl fans that are just crazy about G-Eazy, gonna learn all these G-Eazy songs. I feel like it's kind of entrapment to then put the N-word on a G-Eazy song. It just, to me, it is. I think that it's like, at that point, you've got these little white girls who are just learning all these songs, and all of a sudden they're like, it just comes through, and I'm like, it's kind of entrapment. You can't do that. Like, at the same time, I'm still, again, entrapment. At the end of the day, there's still a crime that they did.
Well, I will say this to this: have you ever been in a crowd at a G-Eazy show?
No. Why would I go to a
let me tell you right now that there are a lot of people in that crowd that they don't need a black person to hop on this song to encourage them to say it. No.
I've been waiting.
Nah, I don't believe that.
Fair enough.
I don't believe that at all.
Touche.
No, that Pitchfork crowd, nah, bro. I don't believe that. No, the crowd that goes to Kanye concerts that has been wanting to say it anyway. No.
They didn't even been to Paris.
Never, ever.
They don't have passports.
They don't know what the Champs-Élysées is.
Exactly.
All right, we got Tony P says, with Jade 5 wins away from 50, do you have her win the 50th and drop the belt ASAP, or win a few more? Also, who do you think she will realistically drop it to? I mean, we get this question like every week.
Vroom, vroom, vroom. What sound does a Mercedes make? Vroom, 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 vroom.
Well, Tony also follows up with, plus, if Mercedes is the mystery partner, should the tag match start the show or end it? I've been thinking about this quite some time. I would end it. I think that if you can keep that, but at the same time, I think about CM Punk, right? And how that was like a thing you had to get out of the way at the start of the show. You had to start the show, get CM Punk out the way, and go. But I think this is one of those things, a mystery partner type angle, where you could probably get people hyped the entire time. Like I think about Kenny's return just back in August. I think you could probably keep people on their toes the entire show. I would end it, to be honest, in LA.
You gotta end it with it.
Yeah. I don't know, because it's going to be a big pop if that's the case, if that's who it is.
Yeah, I think I would open the show with it. Just because that's just going to be a huge moment.
By ending the show, credits roll, Mercedes is in the ring, apparently. I don't know, could be, or whatever. If this is a scenario we're talking about, that's crazy. Like ending the show with her right there in the middle of the ring.
To me, I would say, because one of two things.
But they do have that ladder match that's supposed to apparently happen.
Oh, yeah. It's because it's supposed to be a ladder match. So, like, okay.
Yeah.
I would say if they're able to drop any hints about it beforehand, like, say, January 4th, they're able to, the week before, drop some hints about Mercedes, I'd say end the show, because then you got the hype going all that whole time. If it is one of those things where it's not mentioned whatsoever, then I'd go the other way, because you could use her to open the show and then essentially grab people's attention with the rest of the show. It's pretty much how you want to build it, but it's going to be a big show, like regardless, because people saw my percentage drop this week when Tony Storm came out to help Sheeta, and but at the same time, I don't know.
Anything still can happen. Like,
anything can still happen.
Those guys over there got a lot of money, and they could change your mind with a lot of money. So
I think they know who it is at this stage, though. But again, watch the interview with your boys in TK, and then we'll know for sure.
As for the other question, I think 50 is the way to go. Get a nice round number.
Yeah, you got to get her to 50. Like at this point, she's sitting at 45. There's no reason to end it here. I think 50 is going to be a hard number to top for anybody.
Yeah.
And it's a cool number. You got to get her all the way there. Jason says, Grapsody, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, my dudes. What are some of your Christmas traditions? Also, if you had to give a wrestler/wrestling personality coal in his or her stocking, who would you choose?
Jobber from WCW is definitely getting coal in his stocking.
Yeah, as of this week, Lacey Evans is getting the biggest coal. Get out of here.
I'm gonna say Max Caster is is my pick for dropping references and raps and then not following up on it when asked about it. Max Caster,
And Dr. Smoke.
yes, but as far as what about you, Cam? Who's your
I love everyone equally. Everyone is fantastic, and nobody's had it.
So everybody's getting coal.
Fuck 'em.
Yeah.
Wrestling. I probably give my man JD the coal, man. It just
you really wanted that for wrestling personalities? We can do that here.
Yeah. I think I give JD the coal, man. I think he just boy, when you find out how they really feel about you, it ain't the time to get sad. that ain't the time to hide your hands and woe is me. You know the energy you give off, you know what you bring to the table, outside of jokes. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, just watching him. Why would they say that about me? Why would they say it about me? Well, we have a mountain of evidence as to why. You might be the one. Like, everybody can't tell the joke. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't make the comment, because then you get the, I know you ain't talking.
Right, exactly.
And then they're talking about your mother all of a sudden. You're like, where did that come from?
How did I get there?
So cold to the guy, man. And I would say Lacey Evans too. I think that way back, because I be knowing what I'm talking about. When they first did the repackage, I specifically said, look, I do not know her political leanings, but this is a Republican origin story if I've ever seen it. Right? And they were dogging me. They were on like, what do you mean? And this is just a feel-good America. I'm like, guys, you're not understanding. White people bootstraps ain't the story you think it is.
I told people on this podcast when those things first started airing, I was like, you can hear I'm proud to be American playing in the background.
Exactly.
Well, honestly, I think, and I was on the side of, you can see it, so just like lean into it. I think, honestly, look, we've been repackaging Lacey Evans for the last 4 years, right? She came out 2019. She's been coming to the ring. She did the whole like come out and not do anything for a little bit. Honestly, look, just make her a Fox News host. Like she's already blonde. Look, she's already blonde. Like I would like. Lacey,
please don't do it.
Lacey Evans, Fox News host. That's it. That's the gimmick. That's the one. I say go all the way.
He has a lot of ammo to use too. Like she could be doing promos every week going off.
If this happens, I'm gonna specifically blame you. Every week we have to watch it.
I'd say you have to watch it. I'm just saying.
I believe that the Usos absolutely say nigga when it comes on in the song. I also believe Lacey Evans says woke, and woke ain't the word she meant.
Definitely.
She's dialing it back, but the phone is still in the lawn. That bitch out the house.
Big facts.
Bless her heart. Oh, and she can't fight it. You know what I mean? She is who she is, and social media being what it is, she can't fight it. And I'm not even saying she should. Like, people were like up in arms that she would think the things that she thinks. I'm like, guys, and I hate it. Have you been paying attention, guy? Or I'm not surprised, guy. I do hate that guy, but I also hate outrage, guy. When you can just be like, jokes off. Don't attack the person for being the person they've always been. Say something funny and keep moving. Yeah. Lacey and Tyrus late nights on Fox. Ooh, cool.
All right, so we got a. Oh yeah, and then Christmas tradition was the other question that was asked here. I don't know. I mean, we've become kind of a go to the movies on Christmas family, and a big piece of that is because December suddenly become this blockbuster month, and so it used to be like, December was kind of the chill month for movies, and now I would say ever since Into the Spider-Verse came out, every year we've had a movie to go to on Christmas, and because I saw that Christmas Day, 2018, and no, I guess Star Wars, The Force Awakens, that was one I saw on Christmas as well. So yeah, it's almost been a decade of seeing movies on Christmas. No exception here. Probably go see Avatar or something tomorrow, because that's what we do. I have kids. I'm the only one here with kids. And I get woken up at the butt crack of dawn Christmas morning. We open presents. By 8:30, Christmas is over, because we already done all the shit. And then, it was like, want to do something with the rest of the day? Let's go to the movies. And we go to the movies. Go to my parents' house and enjoy.
Sweet.
What are y'all doing?
I don't know. Probably gonna do the family thing. That's usually the Christmas thing to do. The older and older I get, the more I secretly hate Christmas. I don't know, because I feel like the older and older you get, the more you go to Christmas events and people that you spent Christmas with for years are not there, and you have to think about that every year. It's not fun. And there's a lot of other stuff that comes with Christmas that ain't that great to me. I
was feeling like that this month, and I was like, am I a bah humbug or whatever? Like when I'm telling people, they looking at me like, I'm like, I'm not really feeling it though. It's not really.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, as far as like fun stuff to do, I mean, of course, like the family stuff, watch all of the Christmas movies, like Iron Man 3, which is a Christmas movie, and it's an underrated Marvel movie, and I will not take any slander for it. I'm dying on that hill.
I think it is underrated. I went back and watched, I didn't like it when it came out, but I went back and watched it, and I was like, damn, I didn't give this enough credit at the time. It's actually better than I thought.
What movie was that?
Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3? Oh, it's super. It's fun. It's fun. I like watching resourceful Tony Stark in hoodie with a slingshot, and he was MacGyver. That shit was amazing.
I think that was like the reason I didn't like it, because I'm like, I came to see Iron Man, and I'm getting like MacGyver Tony Stark. But now in hindsight, I'm like, this is actually good. I appreciate this as a movie.
It's a Shane Black movie with Iron Man in it. It's great.
We typically do sausage croissants. Like that's our thing. Sausage croissants and hot chocolate. We're all older now, so I don't know if our stomachs can take that. I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, with a very large Hispanic population. My late best friend, Catholic, and so he would do they have a bunch of stuff during the week. I say that to get this joke off. My mother says this year, she was like, well, I don't want to wait till Christmas. We need to do some stuff early. I said, oh, we're Mexicans now? And we had a good laugh about that.
Love it. Yeah.
I think everything is still going to kind of be tomorrow. And we're, I'm 37. My sister's 30. My mother is ancient. And so there's not a whole lot of gifts. We just kind of did our thing. So it's going to be us hanging out, watching Friday After Next and Trading Places again. And Christmas Vacation is literally
classic Christmas movies.
Favorite movie. Mother loves Christmas Vacation. I think I bought it for 3 times on 3 different formats. So we'll watch that. And then, all my friends that I grew up with are here. And so, we go house to house, drinking up everybody's drink, telling stories. And it'll just be that.
That's what's up. Yeah. Driving down to Bakersfield after this. Classic. Great. Thanks for me. I'm so happy about it. Now I'm going to go see my mom. That's pretty much, I don't have too many crazy traditions. We just kind of just kick it together, watch, I think her favorite movie's The Preacher's Son. Is that the one with Whitney and
Preacher's Wife?
Preacher's Wife.
Son.
Preacher's Wife. Yeah. That's her jam right there. And then
that's my mom's jam too. It must have just been Black women of the 90s. That's it. It just hit perfectly for them. Whoever wrote it for it was writing for them. And then
Denzel is supposed to be saving the family, and he's Dirty Mac, and he's trying to steal this man's wife.
Yeah, right. Dirty Mac and Denzel, Black women gonna love that because they want to be Dirty Mac'd on. And then I'll usually just go to see for the last a lot of years to my cousin's house because he has a bunch of kids, so I could just kind of take in that Christmassy and all the gifts that they're gonna use just for now, and then tomorrow they don't care about any of this stuff. Remember everybody was on the hoverboard thing, and everybody,
yes.
I'm like, this is not gonna mean anything in 3 months, and then 3 months nobody cares.
3 months they were exploding.
I definitely have 2 hoverboards sitting in storage from when my kids got them that Christmas. They were super
Now, when
popular.
I saw Mike Tyson hit the deck off that hoverboard, I was like, all right, I can't.
No, it's enough. It's enough.
We
Yeah.
got to wrap this up.
Enough of y'all.
Although my son asked me yesterday, he was like, "What did you get for Christmas when you were my age?" And of course, my memory, I remember everything I've ever gotten for every Christmas of each year. And so,
You probably remember which order that you opened each gift. You're like, I opened this.
oh yeah, so when I was his age, I got a Super Nintendo that year, and so that's like one that stands out to me because I remember every game I got, and
I got WWF Raw and Shaq Fu. It was lit.
when he asked me what I got for Christmas at his age, I started thinking about it. I'm like, oh, damn, I had a better Christmas than he's having. I was like thinking about what he got, and I'm like, shit, I should have compared him because I had Donkey Kong Country and Killer Instinct, and he... I don't know. I think I bought him books, and I'm like,
But he likes that though. That's
Horrible,
his demographic.
That's still my favorite gift of all time, though. Will Donkey Kong Country on Super Nintendo is my favorite stick out. This is amazing gift that I've ever received for Christmas. I'm pretty sure I beat it that day. Just didn't turn it off. But yeah, that's my favorite gift ever. It's the one that sticks out the most for sure.
I still have to this day never beaten Donkey Kong Country 3. I got that Christmas '96. To this day, I've never beaten it. And every once in a while, I still I'll throw it on. Like, as I've told people, this Super Nintendo sitting right over my shoulder right here is the Super Nintendo I got that Christmas. Still have it on. Every once in a while, I will throw in Donkey Kong Country 3, and I'm like, okay, play a couple of levels, and there's one I can't beat, and I'll throw the controller down, and then 5 years later, I'll pick it up again. And we're now on almost 30 years of this. The game came out in '96. I'm like, one day I'll beat Donkey Kong Country 3, but it pisses me off, and then I'm done with it. So those are Christmas traditions, but this question is going to bring up a topic now that we have to discuss. Will, what was up with that Mogul affiliate segment? Do you know how it was supposed to go and be received? Also, Merry Christmas to Grapsody. Let's talk about Mogul affiliates, shall we? Because this has been, I can't even say a mixed reaction. I will say it has basically been pegged with tomatoes. And it had one particular viral moment that happened in the beginning.
That was unintentional.
We saw Rick Ross basically stop the promo. Like, he's hyping everything up. He brings out Keith Lee. He asks for Swerve to come out. Swerve doesn't come. He starts talking, then he turns his head over to Keith and just says, "You a big motherfucker," and just keeps going. And the Keith Lee looks over like,
Can't say that.
oh, yeah, you can't say.
So, I thought that they must be on commercial. Because I tweeted it when he said it, and they were like, "No, we saw that too." I was like,
Live.
"Ooh."
Yeah, it wasn't even like the TBS censors caught that or nope, it just went straight through. Now, granted, it's cable TV. And so, there's not necessarily a whole lot of care when it comes to cable because I always think it's weird that Raw is a PG show, but then, Chucky is TVMA and, has multiple F-bombs, and it comes on immediately after Raw. And so I'm like, all right, I'm watching this PG show, and then stab, 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 blood, F-words. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's it's like it's cable. There's...
Different than the silk stockings that used to come after Raw 97.
La Femme Nikita?
La Femme Nikita, and yeah, it was funny too because you got Walker Texas Ranger beforehand, and then afterward you're like, nah, we're getting into silk stockings now.
We're getting horny on this USA Network tonight. Good time.
But obviously cable. The main thing is that you want to stay within the rating that the show has stamped at the beginning because the show has that TV 14 stamped. I think. I don't know the restrictions specifically on the F word in TV 14, but it's more about the rating that it received and less about the network itself. And so either way, that was the moment. Literally everybody picked that up. I saw Source had it. I saw Double XL had it. The Shade Room had it. Everybody, TMZ, everybody picked up Rick Ross just with that one quick line. Which it's a good thing that's what was picked up out of the segment and nothing else. Because So the way the segment went down was we saw Swerve make his way down. He had on the Mogul Affiliates logo that he's been hinting at for the last few months in AEW, or on his Twitter, actually. I almost said Harlan, but he's Parker Boudreaux now. But Parker has also been tweeting that logo out.
Harlan,
so that's
I forgot it. I forgot that even happened.
Well, Cam watched NXT. You remember Harlan?
Y'all were at the Did y'all meet him at Wale Mania?
I saw him. I didn't.
I saw him. I didn't meet him.
Yeah,
But
I met him at Wale Mania. He was a cool dude. The worst thing you can do for a wrestler is say they're the next anybody.
Yes.
Ooh,
You know?
yeah. But the worst
And-
thing that wrestler can also do is lean into it.
Yes.
Because that I also think that's not helping him. Because you're talking about the fact that he gets compared to Brock a lot. I think that Reg said it on Ask Grapsody this week, but I went back and watched. I didn't realize how bad it was.
I'm telling you, isn't it? He's doing Here Comes the Pain Brock Lesnar cosplay. Like he didn't watch he watched the video game character of Brock Lesnar and was like, "This is how I'm going to wrestle."
So, obviously, yeah. Swerve says to Keith he's got to keep eyes in the back of his head, and that's when Parker makes his way out, and Parker starts throwing some punches on Keith Lee. Between each punch, what Reg said was very true. He's like, he throws a punch and then does a Brock taunt. He'll like punch and then go,
Yeah.
and then punch and then go. And it was like, stop that. What is wrong with you? Nobody does that. Does that in a fight.
Not you hitting him with the Arsenio Hall. Stop shooting that little thing.
Yeah, like why are you doing that, man?
Hey, no, you gotta cut that out. Like, whoever told you to do that, you have to stop. It's not good. And so and then he gets made very short work of. That also didn't help because basically Keith like dumps him out.
Yeah.
And then as Keith decides to go for Swerve, then we get our mystery tattooed man that it took people a while to figure out.
Who people originally thought it was. I was like, oh my God, what? Why? Why do you think that? Oh no.
Man, my stomach dropped for a brief second when I first saw that name. I was like, "Whoa, guys!"
Yeah, I'm like,
Whoa.
wait, was that?
Whoa.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And like my first thought, I said this on Day After Dynamite, but somebody was like, I saw somebody on Twitter who said this guy looked like a doodle bear, and that was a thing I hadn't thought about in like 30 years. But
Doodle bear.
But y'all remember Doodle Bear? Like you got Teddy Bear, you got the draw on its face, and
Yes, I remember.
yeah.
I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, man.
Look, if X guy is not where you want him to be, you don't bring in Y guy who's way behind him and have him be a unit.
Yeah.
Like I think that, I think I'm way more optimistic about every wrestler to ever exist. But I'm like,
Yeah, you watch
Parker,
NXT.
well done. Well done. Ooh, that's a good one. But I'm like, okay, Parker has a look. He has some size. Maybe he'll figure it out, right?
Yep.
You don't have his deficiencies look like he's leagues above. Like their timing when they were both trying to attack was the worst thing I've ever seen live. It was that bad. Like it was so terrible. And like the person that Parker exudes like on social media, he should be next to Swerve being that white guy around black people that think he has insert word, that glow, that drip, that sauce, like whatever you want to call it, right? Or just a white dude who's okay around black people. Like, cool, whatever, right? But yeah,
Rory.
when it came to the physicality, that's the thing that he needs to excel at. It's the thing that he should be best at, and not wrestling, like chain wrestling, throw this great belly to belly soup. No, when it's a brawl, you should look like you fighting. Yeah,
Right.
This is where we need to talk about looking like you fight. Forget
Straight
the
up.
Young Bucks for a second. Big fight man needs to he can fight.
Big fight, man.
like you said, Triple H. I don't think Triple H can throw hands in real life, but guess what? Triple H did all them push-ups and sit-ups, and his shoulders were sitting out like this. And when he throw that one right hand for 15 minutes straight, it like it hurt. You know what I mean? Like it looked like he was doing something, but yeah, man, he just does not look physical at all. And then when you got another big white guy with questionable morals and politics next to you, and the two of you didn't look like you was beating up a black guy. That's what you should look like. There's one thing in your soul you're supposed to be able to do as a large white man with tattoos that listens to rap, but maybe not around niggas. You should be able to, like, you can beat up a black dude 2-on-1.
We should have been offended watching two white dudes beat up. We should have been like, damn, this is offensive.
No, honestly though, so the funny thing was, everybody, like, Twitter really thought that it was Tom McDonald, and I was
I'm like, come on, this is crazy.
Yeah. And
man. The only McDonald we trying to see affiliated with black people at this point is probably Michael McDonald, man. Him and his white soul music is acceptable, but homeboy, I'm good.
Ronald is killing all of us, so we gotta stay away from him.
Not in love anymore.
On your homestyle burger now?
Yeah, see,
look that out. It's pretty
Ronald is he don't care, but he ain't cared about our lives for a long time.
4 chicken nuggets is $2.69 right now. I know that's not chicken no more.
Chicken's way too expensive in the store for it to be that much.
Yeah, man.
So the person it actually was Brandon Goatsman, former MLB player, and turned professional wrestler. He's actually been training apparently for a while. I've been training with Jay Lethal, and Carly Bravo tweeted the other day saying, "Nah, he's the real deal. Like, give him a chance." So I'm at least willing to do that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I trust Carly Bravo. He's
I don't know anything about him as a wrestler. I haven't seen him do literally anything in the ring. I have seen Parker in the ring, and I do know that I want to see some improvement. But the thing is, I'll tell you what I do like here. I like Swerve having two heaters. I think that him being a smarmy, slimy heel, I think some backup for him is the best thing that he could have. And, like, I know some people, I saw somebody say that, no, they should have paired him with Lance Archer. They should have paired him with this, that. I'm like, no, I think him having two unknowns is the right call.
I agree.
For the type of heel you're trying to get him to be. He doesn't need necessarily a faction. He needs guys doing his dirty work. Right. And that's essentially, I think, what they're willing to do here with these two is like, they're kind of two no names in a sense. They're really just faceless muscle guys who are going to do Swerve's dirty work. They're his affiliates. This is they're all about him. And so I like that aspect of it. I also did like the stomp onto the center block. I thought was actually right on target. It was really well done. It looked good. What I didn't like was everything else. The segment was just mistimed. There's ways I would have put the segment in different order.
Felt a little too long in points when they were going to Swerve, and when they were looking at Swerve and while the action was going on, something felt off about the whole thing.
And to me, I think the biggest moment of it was way undersold. To me, I think the biggest moment was that Rick Ross aligned with Swerve.
Right.
That should have been the moment. That should have been the turn. That should have been the moment that struck the crowd. Mm-hmm. I think that, to me, everything would have gone really well if right when Swerve said, "You need to have eyes in the back of your head," I think Rick Ross should have just clubbed.
Club push.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, he should have just clubbed him. I think that would have been the moment. Because I think that would have gotten the crowd's reaction. But when the moment was Parker, I think that made the crowd kind of go, huh? And then it was like, and then the second moment was Grandin, and then it was like, oh, and also Rick Ross is with them. And I was like, okay, you got this backwards. Rick Ross should have been the moment. Yeah. And I think that would have basically made everything else flow properly. And then also, look, I think Rick is hilarious at this. Somebody should have told him while the action is happening, put the mic down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was just a lot going on in the segment. It was just too much going on at once. I feel like there are parts of it that weren't executed well. Mm-hmm. Like it seemed like there was a miscue at some point because we were waiting for Swerve to come out, and then he came out, and there were like audio issues. And even like during the beatdown when Ross is yelling all that stuff. You're hearing like feedback and all this other stuff. It just was a lot going on.
Oh yeah.
I didn't hate the segment. I didn't think it was terrible. I did think some parts of it worked, but I just think as a way to introduce a new stable, it didn't really work that well. I thought what they did in the online segment was way better. I thought Ross's promo in that
Big Funky, that was great.
it was way better. Him looking straight in the camera and doing ain't no make it up. That was great. Him flirting with the interviewer as well while he's walking away and saying I got the G-Wagon waiting for me. All that was dope, but
great.
It just I feel like that kind of stuff would have made the segment better if they went with something like that. But what can you do?
Yeah, I wish they would have condensed it, and maybe they could have had it better if they would have introduced the guys 2 separate weeks, like introducing them both kind of cold. You know how we've been talking about the Triple H introducing cold thing, which we could talk about a little bit here later too. But introducing these 2 guys cold back to back probably wasn't the best move. And when people have a little bit of attachment to Parker because they've seen him on AEW TV, and so they have that, and it wasn't the best reception when it was that. So for them to go to that to another guy that they don't kind of know probably wasn't the best move. I agree with Will. I think it's great that Swerve has 2 heaters because we saw when they tried to put a tag team with them how that landed, and I don't think the point is not like a tag team and Swerve. It's like Swerve and 2 guys that are going to do his bidding, do his dirty work. So I think this works. I don't know if these 2 guys are the guys to do it, but I guess we're gonna see.
Well,
learning kind of like on the fly learnings every week on live TV is gonna be an interesting choice for everything all around.
I will say that I think Parker works with him because he looks like he fits in his circle.
Yes.
Then that's why I said the backstage segment was better because him just standing in the back with a chain on and him looking like he fits with them, that stuff works. But if you are only looking at it from the wrestling point of view and how he was even brought in AEW as a trust buster and that has just completely gone away and they haven't explained it, all of that stuff is kind of like baggage that is now being taken on by this stable. And so I don't think that Parker's a bad choice because I do think Parker in real life hangs out with people in his circle. He is a 4th rope guy. He's a guy that's endorsed by Westside Gunn. So he does fit with Swerve. It's just all the other baggage of not just the NXT stuff, but the way he was introduced to AEW audience.
Right. When you got that many clicks, you got to explain the click jump.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing that AEW does to separate themselves from WWE. There are a lot of teams and factions and whatever you call them. But when you leave one and go to another, especially with the Trust Buster thing, specifically being about we got money over here.
Right.
Like, if he's a dude that's in the money, why is he just jumping over here? You know? But yeah, like you said, it was too long. And what got me live was you're asking Rick Ross, non-wrestling person, to fill time in wrestling segment.
Right.
In an audience where, like, I fuck with Rick Ross, right? But, like,
you're not there for that.
No, not that I'm not there for that. It's that when I look around the arena, it's way less of me and way more Hot Topic black guy.
Yeah,
it's in the arena. You know, no disrespect, but this ain't really, you know, they listen to whatever Athena listens to. But nah, man, it was really like you're asking him to take care of this live, and you're not doing him any favors, making him like ad lib in an audience that is not super familiar with the way he goes about the business. So yeah.
Hot Topic black guy. Look, but the funny thing, we all knew that.
Listen,
guy.
hot combs are still in business because hot combs are still in business because of these people. Like, how do you guys? I don't know.
People that were trying to do the Danny Brown look with like,
the side bangs and stuff. Like, I'm not mad at them. Like, those are the homies.
Do those sneakers got wheels in them? Those are cool.
Oh no.
Hey, we got a really generous super chat from Brody. Says, long live the guys. Appreciate what y'all do, and congrats on surviving the craziest year in wrestling history.
Thank you, Brody.
Thank you, Brody. We really appreciate you. Merry Christmas to you, or happy holidays, whatever it is you celebrate. Thank you. And if you're not celebrating, I just appreciate the generous super chat.
And this year has been every day I wake up, I'm like, what crazy ass wrestling news is happening? And I go on my Twitter and crazy ass wrestling news is. I'm like, yo, what is going on?
I mean, I will say this. I'm going to pull it up really quick. So one of the categories, of course, in the upcoming Fightful Awards is the story of the year. Not the group that sang Christian's theme song in WWE, but specifically the wrestling news story of the year.
There's only one winner here, though, honestly.
I know, but looking at the nominees in that category, I'm going to reveal those, are Steve Austin returns to a wrestling ring.
Crazy.
I mean, Steve Austin wrestled a fucking match this year. That happened. But
A good match.
A good match.
It was good. And it made people think, oh gosh, he can still do this.
Right.
Like,
and now he's on Instagram doing push-ups and going like, guys, I'm not coming back to wrestle like Austin. Come on, bro.
when that shirt come off and he put on them black trunks and 14 knee braces and a back brace and shoulder pads, because it's going to be crazy.
How about Cody leaves AEW and joins WWE? How about Brawl Out, CM Punk and the Elite fight after Scrum? Vince McMahon forced into retirement amid sexual misconduct scandal.
Insane.
Sasha Banks and Naomi walk out during a live Raw. Tony Khan buys Ring of Honor. MJF possibly no shows and returns.
That was crazy.
Triple H takes over creative, and one that wasn't even on the radar by February, but it was a story at the time, was Impact Women's World Champion Mickie James in the Royal Rumble.
Which is pretty nuts. Story.
And I mean, it's some of that stuff is left out. Like you got now Carl Anderson going back to WWE and wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom next year.
Right.
You got Shinsuke wrestling Great Muta in January. Like that's nuts.
Yeah, no, it was
Any other year.
crazy news year. Well, that's the thing is I'm looking at
the story.
Right.
I'm looking at the write-ins because there's one clear winner here, and I'm not going to announce what it is, but you guys know.
We all know.
Somebody,
Come on.
It's one with 77% of the vote too, but it's not even close.
Somebody asked me a couple days ago which company I thought had a better year, WWE or AEW.
I saw this. I saw your response to this.
And my answer was WWE, because if to me the two most important things are the men's and women's division, right? WWE has had their main eventers, the Bianca and Roman, solidified at the top. It's made all kinds of money at WrestleMania, and Bianca's off doing this, and Roman's got a crazy streak. And AEW has had flux with the women's division for injuries and personal attitudes and whatever. And then on the men's side, it's like the CM Punk stuff, right? And somebody's response was, but Vince McMahon did it. I'm like, no, you're not wrong. It's a different question. Like, if you're asking me, what's the biggest story in the entire world of this thing to ever exist that we never thought would happen? Yeah, that's what we're talking about. To me, it was just a different question. But no, to me, who I've not voted in this poll, but there would be a clear winner that the father of modern professional wrestling is out because he don't know where you're supposed to pay for it. I know.
How does he not know after all these years, though, Cam? You should know, bro.
See, I'm giving him too much grace. You're right.
Yes.
He knows where to pay for it. The thing is, Vince McMahon don't got no game.
He does.
No. I mean, because that's what it really. Because this is what it really is. It's billionaire white man, right? It's like, you can pay for this thing that is available to you, but why would you want that when you go for the thing that's not available to you? Because that's power,
and
right?
You can use your power against the thing. Yeah, that grinds their gears more than fucking money.
Yeah.
Too many people have never gotten pussy based off their father's features or respect from their community. Right. And they don't know how to act. They do not know how to go about it like a normal person. And so they do things like, hey, come work over here. I'll throw you a little extra bread if you throw me something. It's just, it's nasty and predatory and way too common. It's so common that even when we talk about it, we're not automatically like, this is the most deplorable thing, because we've seen it happen so much. Right. It's easier on our brains to joke about it, right? But nah, man, it's the biggest story I'm saying too much. It's the biggest story is what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pastel the Blurred says, shout out to Killer Cam for calling out Lacey Evans' Valentina CIA Hydra origin story.
Hey man, we all saw it. It's just there's a reason that a Will and a Phil and a Ridge and a Cam, and you can throw a bunch of other names. There's a reason that you go on Twitter and you look at what we say about things that are happening in real time while you're seeing them. You go to us for the analysis, because typically, if we not right that day, give it a few months.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Eventually it'll come back around.
I have a list. I have a list of things that people got mad at me about, and in retrospect, I'm like, that's kind of right. Y'all can walk it back.
Yeah.
Joel Wood says, a few weeks ago, I thought for sure it was Mercedes, but at the same time, they've hardly promoted the match over the last few weeks. Will, you don't have to tell the percentage, but does it go up or down after the Tony interview? LOL.
That's telling the percentage. Come on, man.
You have to watch it. You have to watch it, and you'll see.
What he sent you $3.99? Cash app in there. I'll send it back to you because I don't want you to waste your money. But wait.
Alexander says, Bucks, i.e. AEW, discourse often exposes some of the gaps in the hobbyist slant in Western wrestling journalism. It's often like there are 3 or even 4 canons that rarely crossed over due to monopoly and pre-internet.
That's fair.
Good point. Joel also says, as a WWE fan who happens to like the Bucks, I think a part of it may be the fact that those who like the Bucks put them on such a pedestal as if they're better at everything than they actually are.
Oh, listen. Young Buck fans can be very annoying. Let's not.
I'm a Young Bucks fan, and I agree big time.
But I feel like that's not specific to Young Bucks. I feel like a lot of stan culture is annoying in general.
You see a Roman Abbey, you're like, I'm out of here.
Fam,
I can't talk to this person.
Roman Abbeys are the worst. You can't say anything about Roman at all.
Oh, I disagree, my friend. We can get to the next topic.
Real quick. I was at a bar 6-7 months ago. Started talking to this guy that was in the Army, and I forget what team was playing on TV, but he was just expressing how much he hated that a bunch of free agents went there. And he was like, I like my teams built, not bought, like my San Antonio Spurs. And me being the largest San Antonio Spurs fan to ever exist, I said, well, guy, one, it ain't the Army. It's not something they had listed into. And I said, number 2, the only reason we have the Spurs like we remember them is because they wouldn't let Tim Duncan's wife on the private plane.
Right.
Like, let's be realistic about this. So yeah, exactly. Like, even things that we're all fans of can have the very worst supporters with a very skewed view and not all the information, and they don't want all the information. And so, yeah, they're terrible fans across the board. The Young Bucks fans are just the worst to me because they be coming at me. But yeah,
they're definitely.
No.
Worst out
I mean,
there.
no,
they're definitely worse.
To me,
are
because
there Uso stands? Like, do Uso stands actually exist?
They're not so much Uso stands. They're
Roman
stands.
Abbeys.
It's all bloodline because the whole thing is that the Usos right now, as Phil said, or no, it was Reg that said it, but don't necessarily stand on their own, right? They are kind of background players to Roman, so it all goes with Roman stance. But I disagree with all that because I feel like at least Roman stance have something to stand on. Roman's the biggest star in the business. Roman delivers as a performer. Roman is the guy. On the other hand, I'm still waiting for Bray Wyatt's stance to have something to give me. Because, look, I have really been trying, guys. When Bray Wyatt came back at Extreme Rules, I was like, all right, I'm in on this. This is good stuff. I like it. This is, he got a big pop. It seems like he's going to be more grounded, a little more realistic in what he presents. And that'll give him a chance to really showcase something cool, something awesome. I was in on it. Everything I said about Bray coming out of Extreme Rules was positive. I thought this shit was so whack last night on SmackDown. This was not for me and like bordered on boring and what are we doing? Like, what are we waiting for? I'm not saying, look, give this guy like a match on SmackDown, obviously, but I feel it's been over 2 months. What are we getting to? Where's the destination here? And is the destination about to be this? What is the match called again? I don't even
Blackout
remember.
match.
The blackout match or whatever at the Royal Rumble, which is still like a month away. Is this really what we're waiting for? Because if so,
I don't want to wait.
Do you guys think his wrestling is good?
I don't think it has been, but he shows flashes of, like, I've seen flashes of good matches with him, like Bryan Danielson. I think the 2 times. I thought his match at Royal Rumble both 2019 and 2014. So good matches. So like, but again, Bryan Danielson's the GOAT. So like,
Yeah, right. I've never been down on his wrestling. I don't think I realized how down people were on his wrestling until Twitter told me they were down on his wrestling. I think that the Fiend stuff originally just kind of ran its course, and if he's going to be in the main event, what else can you do with him? Right. I understand, bringing him back and trying to get super creative with this. And granted, like, I remember a kid told me his favorite wrestler was Kane. I was like, Kane? Like, Kane wrestling? And so there is that aspect of there's a crowd who just wants to see him do weird shit, and that does it for him. But they're going to have an end game. Like, they're going to have to have an end game, and he's got to come through with the wrestling. But you're right. Like, last night was just, it reminded me in some ways of the Swerve and Keith Lee segment, in that this thing is taking a really long time to not do a whole lot. Like, just, I'm mad at the camera guy. He didn't get fired like Bobby Lashley got fired, though. But, yeah.
What's up, Adam Pearce?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
This is the thing that I will say, though, because when you say that Bray stance have not given you anything, I think you are then saying that Bray has never done anything good, which I just soundly don't agree with you on. And I mean, that's your opinion, but I don't think you can just be like, all right, well, Roman has these things to offer, but then Bray has nothing to offer. That's just not true. I just don't see it that way. And if you just don't like what he's doing right now, and this is just not hitting for you, that's understandable. But to say that this guy has never done anything good, that's crazy.
No,
I mean, for me anyway, it hasn't been for me.
None of it's for me, honestly.
I don't know, man. We've had this discourse for a while to me, I don't know. I don't think you can discount this guy as a talker and a character and all these other things.
I thought he, like I said, it was, I want to be like, hey, at least Bray delivers on the mic. But I also thought, like, the last couple of promos are just like him talking in circles, man. Doesn't really say anything, man.
LA Knight's impersonation. I've rewatched that promo several times because it's hilarious to me. Him hitting the, it wasn't me, my brother. It was Boy Howdy. That's hilarious. But no, I agree that they do have to get to the point with this stuff because now it has been 2 months and it's like, all right, where we're going. We got a development last week, but this week felt like filler. But I will say, this wasn't a good episode of SmackDown either. Most of this episode of SmackDown felt like filler. That gauntlet was not good. I'm sorry, it wasn't good.
Xia Li getting a... No, she's not getting a push, is she?
I mean, why did you have her annihilate? Why'd you have her annihilate Emma like that, and then have Emma do this backstage segment with? I digress.
She annihilated Emma. And then annihilated Tegan right after, and my immediate thought was,
people that just came back.
You just brought them back. Why would you do that?
I was confused by it. The Shayna ending was also not good. I didn't get it.
It made it look dumb. It's okay. I thought that, like, on the Raw side, it's better, of course, because it's Bianca, and Bianca is something they're very heavily invested into. Not that they're not invested in Ronda. I think that they think, and I've seen it, like, there are people who, I took people to SmackDown, and the thing that they took away from it was, I got to see Ronda Rousey, and that was it. So she has star power. It's there. But I think they think that can carry, like, if you have gauntlet matches or 6-pack challenges or fucking 5 deuce 4 tray matches, whatever you want to call them, every time you need to crown a number 1 contender, you have no division. Like, you people in a division, you have no division. Right. And they do not do right. WWE does not do right by their women's division by saying that everyone has equal chance to be a number 1 contender on TV every time we need one. It's not
right. And that's not the story they told. Like, if the story was just to get all these women on TV, it did the other women a disservice by having Raquel beat them with an injured arm. It just did make sense. And I get that they're invested in Raquel. I think Raquel has potential, and I think she was solid in NXT. But the story of this match just didn't work for me. But I don't want to stay on that because we started with the Bray stuff.
First off,
Hey, just take her phone. Take her phone now. Take Raquel's phone now. You see what's going on with Lacey. Take her phone. Throw it in the river. Do not let her use it. I wouldn't let her
delete everything from back in the day.
I would take off her Chase Bank app because you might see where she sends money. No.
Cam had me dying yesterday, by the way. When you tweeted, you said,
how does Michael Cole say her name?
Yeah, you said spell out how Michael Cole says her name. I was like, oh, easy, because it's Raquel Rodriguez. And
him being a world-renowned journalist, I know you know how to pronounce her name.
Right.
I know you can say Gonzalez. I know you can say it. It's in your heart. I know you can say Raquel. I know you can do it. Raquel Rodriguez. Every time.
Yeah, Rodriguez. What is a Rodriguez?
He does that with quite a few wrestlers. I'm like, why are you doing that? Are you just trying to say it
Shante
faster?
the Adonis.
What are you doing?
He sounds like the sexual harassment candle in Beauty and the Beast when he says Ashanti. It's not great. It's not great.
But no, look, the Bray stuff. I just feel like again they just gotta get to the point. But I it's hard for me to just be like none of this is working because again the guy is still getting loud reactions every time he comes out. And I can't say that nobody's interested in this stuff because people clearly are. I just think that it has to get to the point. I think 2 months and what we are between two pay-per-views because he came back at Elimination Chamber. Sorry, not Elimination Chamber, Extreme Rules. And now you're gonna get past Survivor Series and get all the way into Royal Rumble before we get a match. That's a long time.
That's a long time for any wrestler at all. Anybody that's being reintroduced to a wrestling show, that's just a long time to exist without any wrestling.
Yeah, and I the other part that I don't agree with you, Will, on is that Bray fans are not the worst. The ones that are the worst, I will not say their name because I don't want no smoke. But they are far worse.
Awful.
I mean, even if you don't want to acknowledge those, Diva stands are.
I was literally going to say
far worse than Bray stands.
When I see a Sasha Avi disagree with me, I literally say, "Didn't see the Avi. I don't want no smoke. My bad."
You got it. Yeah, sorry about that.
These are not real people. Like they
are not.
Listen, when you have a cellular phone with internet capabilities that you never had to pay a bill on, your level of intensity is different. You're not worried about it getting cut off, and you don't have to send nobody a resume. Those children and
if you're not worried about your phone getting turned off, you don't care about nothing in the world, and that's where these people exist.
And I like this guy now. I've come around on him, but when you say Rollins whack plus Ospreay better plus New Japan clears, like when you start doing version arithmetic, like yo, you got it, you right.
I don't even know what any of that means.
New Japan,
none of that means.
New Japan clears takes me out.
When you clear, okay, you've never high jumped in your life, but you got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Just want to state, by the way, the crew are great. I have no problem with the crew. I don't want no smoke.
No, the crew, y'all are amazing. Shout out to
the crew is about to be so divided. I think. Look, if my 69% holds, and a big piece of the
not gonna like her.
They're not gonna be divided. They're just gonna be divided on things like the place that she's at, but they're still gonna follow her wherever she goes.
Well, that's my thing is like. A big piece of the identity behind the crew has been like, we support Sasha and Sasha's in WWE, so we also don't like AEW and we don't like the people at AEW. So it's like we don't just come at AEW, but we come at wrestlers at AEW. We come at Britt Baker. We come at all of these people. Now imagine those people are now Sasha's coworkers, and all of a sudden it's like, how do we now reconcile all these people that we were shit to just like a year ago?
If Sasha's there, if Sasha goes to AEW, that number better go up. That's all I know. That number better go up. because
What, the ratings?
exactly the total viewers better go up because somebody, if not, somebody's capping for the internet.
Right.
Now, again, these people have different bedtimes, and I understand that, but that DVR better shoot up there.
Right.
Yeah. No. I've said before the internet is gonna explode if we ever get the Tony hugging Sasha pick. It's just gonna gonna descend into madness. I'm just gonna completely log off that day and not talk about anything.
You know what's going to be the biggest tell, by the way? So I have press tickets to the LA show, and usually when something major happens at these shows, we get some kind of like post-show kind of press conference. Like, you know, CM Punk, when it was the first dance, they never announced CM Punk, but the thing that they did tell everybody who had media passes was there will be a post-show press conference, and everybody got to ask CM Punk their questions. Right now, there's nothing, but at the same time, I'm keeping my eye on my inbox of like, hey, stick around after this show because...
Yeah, what a weird time. That was a virtual media scrum too.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all tell him when you talked to him and you asked him a bunch of questions that are super important in the world? Did you ask him when is he going to stop calling them scrums and start calling them press conferences? You're sitting in one room and they are coming to you. It's a press conference. You're conferring.
They used to be like scrums, and then we got seats, and I think it became a press conference.
Yeah, I remember when there were no seats.
Yeah,
I remember.
That was more along the scrum lines. Let's get through the rest of these, and then I want to send you all on your day. Because Caden says, "Hey, yo, Cam's here. Bet great seeing you Wednesday. You got to see Caden a couple of times."
Caden's a great kid. He would not let me buy him beer. Number one, he's a great kid. But the second time I saw him, I was like, dude, like I'm like twice your age, and I have 2 jobs. Let me at least buy you dinner. And so he let me buy him what I got, a hot dog and a drink. He is the sweetest kid. I'm very jealous. I wish I was 19 in this age of wrestling media and technology.
Yes.
Because I'm like, yo, I'd be fucking world famous. Not that I want to be world famous because I hate the little bit of people.
What do you mean? You are world famous. You almost single-handedly put on a basement dweller that does YouTube videos.
I mean, the facts are the facts. Honestly.
About Caden, I look forward to his growth. Again, very, very jealous he gets to do this at such a young age, but the sweetest kid. He says he's driving from Corpus to Leander tomorrow. That's like a 7-hour drive. That kid is up and down the road. I tried to give him Red Bull money when we left the arena on Wednesday. Wouldn't even take it. That's a good kid.
Great kid.
Yeah, no, he's a great kid. And like, honestly, I'm 35, right? And so when I talk about having done all of this for the last 18 years, I'm referring to the fact that I was 17 when I started my first wrestling podcast. And so what was interesting at the time was, yeah, we didn't have wrestling media the way we do now. And just thinking about the opportunities that Caden has that I would have loved to have had at 19. Of course, I say that, but I interviewed Chris Jericho at 19, didn't I? That was 20. This is my 20th birthday. It was my 20th birthday that I interviewed Chris Jericho. And so like, but to have those opportunities that the way they exist now, the fact that, I had to jump through hoops to get that one. I had to go through his, because he had just published his first book. And so it was like, I had to go through his, publishing company, and basically we mostly just talked about the book. And this was in 2007, so it was like right before he came back. And I'm like trying to get a scoop out of him, like, hey, are you returning on Raw? Because those Save Us videos seem like they're about Chris Jericho. And he's like, well, I don't know anything about that. Oh, I can't give me anything, but you should buy the book, The Lion's Tale, Chris Jericho.
Yeah,
he was like my first major interview, and then I interviewed World Heavyweight Champion Batista like a week later, and I was like, I'm having the best week of my career, and I have not gotten anybody close since.
The story of that interview is still hilarious.
Yes, that is.
Yeah, you think we'll ever get Chris Jericho on this podcast?
Ocho.
I don't know. That would
Deafening
be
silence.
I don't know. to be honest.
We could.
Yeah. Small Snippets of Life says, congrats on the TK interview. Man, what I remember the emergency TK pod 51 weeks ago. That was the thing that Reg mentioned on Twitter today about how it's been kind of a full circle year, right? That we were originally not going to do a show on New Year's. I was putting together a best of show that was just going to be a clip show. And
remember
then,
that.
yeah, I was putting together a clip show that we were just going to run on New Year's. Then TK tweets about Big Swole. We ended up doing an emergency podcast that day, and
Somebody
figure,
put the tweet up. It was at 7:48 on the Christmas or New Year's Eve. So it was emergency as you could get.
Still,
we had no plans on doing a show, and I remember we were like, okay, it turns out we got to do an emergency Grapsody on January 1st.
To add on to that really quickly, I was not a part of your show, but we were having a small gathering of friends for New Year's at the Westin. And that small gathering that's supposed to be champagne and music and partying turned into me and Ricky Starks in the corner talking for an hour about the Swole tweets. And everybody was like, guys, you're supposed to be hanging out with us. There's no time. We have to discuss this.
No time.
So that was like, what a night. That was.
There are stories about that night.
Was on fire.
There are stories about that night I've still not told publicly. Reg and Phil know. But as far as my night was concerned, I was up till 3 a.m. And then obviously had to get up and do this show. And I actually woke up at 7 a.m. and continued the thing I was doing till 3 a.m. And then we just did this show. And I didn't get to fully get to sleep until right after it was over. But it ended up being the biggest show we've done to this day. I will say I appreciate a lot of what white wrestling media did that day. And I say that because shout out started with Sean. John Alba did the same thing. And Chris Van Vliet did it. But everybody was asked at the time, hey, what do you think about what Tony tweeted about Big Swole? And they all were like, hey, I'm probably not the right guy to ask about this. You guys should check out Grapsody. And that ended up being the biggest show we've ever done and it gave us the biggest growth we've ever had.
And the first and last spaces I ever did from the Grapsody account was that same night.
Yeah. So, again, it's a full circle thing because we ended up interviewing Tony to end the year. And so, Monique asks, what percentage are you at for Vince to return?
Ooh, Monique.
Still, I'm at about 40. And so that's
high. That's high.
I'm at 40.
My percentage is higher.
Is it?
Well, I'm in that standpoint of the same thing I said last week. I can definitely see Vince getting the itch at home. And what I mean by that is he's watching. There's about to be possibly the biggest WrestleMania of all time. It's going to contain Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's going to contain The Rock. It's going to contain John Cena. It is also WrestleMania. It is Vince's baby. It is the thing he's always talked about as his proudest achievement is WrestleMania. It's going to have all his biggest stars that he's ever produced, and he won't be there to produce them. I can very much see him going, no, you don't do this WrestleMania without me. You don't do The Rock and John Cena and Stone Cold without me. I have to be a part of this. And that's why I'm at 40 because again, you can even see the people being asked about it. You see Teddy Long's response this week where Teddy's like, yeah, let him back.
You think because your father cheated on your mother, she's not going to sit next to him at your graduation? It's nice to internalize this idea that the world is black and white and man does wrong thing we all know is wrong, and so we will all punish him accordingly. Now, history matters, closeness matters, proximity matters. I don't know if my percentage is as high, but I would not bat an eyelash if he were to show up because rich white folks tend to do just fine. Rich white men specifically, when everything's go bad, like they don't go as bad as they should. So
I'm at 50%, by the way.
Yeah. I'm still at I'm still leaning toward it probably doesn't happen, but I am just looking at all the facts and if he wanted to, a whole lot of people aren't going to stop him. I think that. And I can very much see a lot of a lot of guys. Like I think about John Cena is literally about to work his first show next week, his first show ever, where he was not produced by Vince McMahon.
Wow.
20 years. Like
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild? Like a lot of these guys, it's not a big deal too because they did NXT, all of that, and they've worked with Hunter. They know Hunter like that. That ain't John Cena. John Cena he has had his whole WWE career with Vince McMahon. That's who he knows. That's what
Like the rest of the guys you said, The Rock, Stone Cold, like they only have ever been produced by Vince McMahon.
Stone Cold at least had WCW, so like Stone Cold can at least say like, I worked Bill Watts. I've had other guys that have been attached to, but not The Rock. The Rock literally has been just had Vince McMahon start and finish. He's had Vince for everything. And I can very much see Vince looking at it like, no, those are my guys. Those are guys that I wrote, that I made. You don't do anything with them that doesn't involve me.
And Reg being an artist, you've been in a studio with an artist who is just used to working with one guy, and they like their Hennessy poured a certain way. They like a certain scent in the air. You know what I mean? Like it's just what they do, and that's how they've always been produced. That's how they like to create. And so, like a guy like Brock, that didn't shock me at all. Like Brock being the first one, because what do I know outside of this?
Right. Where's the Hennessy? Where's the weed? This ain't the same.
Exactly. Brock asking to pass the hand is hilarious. Man, there's an environment that they are absolutely used to and that they will push back on, because not only am I familiar with him, this is how I made all of my money. Right. Every single dollar was based on what this person told me to do, and you are not going to mess this up for me.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, Goldberg will be okay. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
John Cena, I'm curious what it's like. Like, John Cena walking through that curtain and not seeing Vince is probably going to be a little weird to him.
It's going to be like when DMX came back to Def Jam and tried to put out that album, and Jay was like, nah, we shelving that. Yeah, I don't know. It is funny to think about him looking around like, no, you're going to use all my guys for WrestleMania? No, you just brought Bronson Reed back. Use him. Use all your NXT babies. Leave all of my guys alone.
We don't have to talk about Bronson Reed, guys. We don't have to.
He is connected to a guy that you seem to like. He's connected to Mike Mizanin.
Hold on. Let me read a couple more super chats because people pay for these. I want to make sure they get them read. Orion Ben said, Merry Christmas to Grapsody and Cam. Thanks for all the interactions and learning over the year. Right in Stokely over Sammy for meme personality of the year. I mean, look, Stokely was great this year. Which wrestlers do you think is underrated in 2022?
Underrated.
See, who's not getting enough of their due this year?
I think we were asked this at the midpoint, and I'm going to repeat that I think it's Hangman Adam Page. I think that he hasn't gotten his due for a great title reign, and I think since he's been back, he's been doing some great stuff with Moxley. I'm going to go with Hangman.
If you had asked me before this past Wednesday, I would have said easily Hikaru Shida because, one, I'm a big Shida fan, but two, I don't think that she was getting her due despite, working her ass off this year. I think people are giving her flowers today because she had just a really great main event this past Wednesday. And I'm really happy to see that people are remembering, oh yeah, she kind of is that woman, isn't she? She really does. Yeah. And that main event this past Wednesday is one of my favorite matches this year. It's the thing that Cam talked about. Wanting to see shit look like a fight, wanting to see it look like a struggle, wanting to see it look like two people who just want to beat each other. And like there wasn't a submission in this match. It was strikes and strikes and throws. And it looked good. All of it looked good. And it looked like I thought that deadlift powerbomb that Jamie Hayter hit on Cheetah still looked super impressive. The crowd bit on every single ounce of that. That's what I want to see, and I'm glad I got to see that, and I think she deserved her due.
Listen, as a big Joshi fan and as a big Ariza Mark from Stardom, and seeing her do that combination with the question mark kick, and I was like, fam, this is amazing. This is everything I want to see on television every week.
What did you think in the crowd, Cam?
Well, if you go
I mean,
back
you could
and
see
watch,
your face. You could see you.
if you go back and watch when she starts the deadlift, like I just stand up immediately and I'm like, oh shit. I'm a huge fan of Jamie Hayter. I gotta admit, I didn't know she'd had it like that. Like I've seen her wrestle, but I was like, oh, she's smoking it. My underrated is Ruby Soho. And it's kind of twofold.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought that WWE had a chance to put somebody in that Natalya role, in that you're good, you can work with anybody, you can do this for 10 years and be the glue in our division. I thought they had that. And then even with, she was out, for a while in AEW, but I still think that she's a good wrestler. Not everybody's supposed to be great, knock it out the park, box office smash wrestler. This thing you need fullbacks. You do. Like, you need people who can make the other person look good. And I think that Ridge didn't like that. I think that she absolutely fits that mold. I think that she's super underutilized and can have a good match with anybody. I like where they're putting her now, for sure.
Yeah, one of the best talkers in the women's division by far.
Yes, I agree. Let's see. We got a couple more super chats. Let's bring Reg back first, and then I will bring the graphic back up so that it's Cam again. And let's see. We got Deontay says, just wanted to send love to all the boys. Good to see Hawk as always. Merry Christmas. Can't wait for Wrestle Kingdom and Stardom show on the 29th.
Super excited for that Stardom show on the 29th.
Shane Monster says, first off, Cam, Elektra Lopez, all caps. Second, Matt Coon goes from a purposeful, regarded Regal pod to a grumpy Uncle Dax pod. Let's fucking go. Yeah, shout out Matt Coon. He's getting good work done.
I'm very curious how this CM Punk episode is going to go and what is going to be said on this episode. Because at first I was like, wait, is Punk a guest? Because that's a risky move. But if he's not a guest and you're just going to be talking about, in retrospect, CM Punk, maybe they're going to get into what were some of the plans for CM Punk and FDR. That sounds good.
We did ask Tony about that, by the way. So
when I talked to Dax, I want to say we left everything in, even the stuff where I was like, "You sure you want to say that?" And he was like, "No, yeah, go ahead." So I'm curious too. Like just having talked to him for an extended period, I think people are going to be really interested in the way that he views the world and the wrestling world. I think people will find that really interesting because like him and I are like a few months apart, and a lot of like his personality is like guy who graduated into a recession and had to figure out the world, and now everything's working out for me. So like he's an optimist, even though he comes off as a grump, but he's an optimist because he thinks things can be good. Like I'm super.
It is actually wild to me that he is as young as he is because he has such like old man energy.
Oh,
like
yeah.
he comes off like somebody who's like back in my day, but I'm like,
the stats.
you're 2 years older than me. What is
Yeah, I really like the guy. I'm super curious. That should be fun. Starting off with CM Punk. Ooh, he's going for it right away.
Nicholas says, peace and blessings to y'all brothers. Thank you, Nicholas. I appreciate you. We also got, just going to keep going. Caden says, I'm obviously on Dax's side no matter what.
Even if he is defending CM Punk?
I mean, again, it all depends.
So it's no matter what, huh? So
I can't wait till he says, I mean, sometimes you just got to kick a puppy. I can't wait. To see. You can't choose that side.
Listen, man, sometimes you got to bite somebody to defend your friend, man. I'm just waiting for him to say that.
That's fun stuff.
Let's see. I'm still going through them because there's a few more, and I want to make sure I don't miss any because that's obviously something I'm quite guilty of. And I still got Humper Chats to get to, too. So I'm going to get everybody's message right, I promise. Aaron says, Happy Xmas. What's y'all's top album of the year? All right, mine's Diaspora Problems by Soul Glow. Give it a listen if you haven't heard it. It's heavy.
Album of the year. I'll tell you what, it's not my album of the year, and I am watching everybody praise It's Almost Dry, and I just don't understand it. It's great, but album of the year, that's kind of wild. Album of the year.
I have my answer. So,
Album of the year.
All right, well, Phil's still thinking about it. I am going to say that I was high on it at the time, but the fact that I've listened to it so much, and it is my go-to workout album, but Cheat Code's Black Thought is my album of the year, just on the fact that, one, getting a solo project from Black Thought is something that I've wanted for a long time. You know, you can listen to a Black Thought freestyle all you want. You can listen to the Roots. You can listen to all of it. But like at the end of the day, getting that solo project was the thing that we've been after for a long time. And to think about the fact that that man is in his 50s, dropping his first solo project, and it went that hard. I think, you know, it wasn't even like a Nas situation where Nas also in that same boat, and it's like, oh, Nas still got it kind of thing. But for me, it was just like now I can't even say like a still got it kind of thing. This is I can't believe you're coming out swinging like this in your 50s. That to me, it was just such a dope project. The features were all good. I've always said Danger Mouse is my favorite producer of all time. So for all of that to come together the way it did, Cheat Codes, Black Thought, Danger Mouse, album of the year.
I'd say I got to see Kendrick live in LA in September. So Mr. Big Step is live. Like, has a big effect on me. I thought it was really good. It's probably Dawn FM. Like, I'm a sucker for 80s synth. And How Dare This Woman Do This to Me. So when you throw those things together, resonates with me pretty well. So that's probably my top two. Yeah. Absolutely.
Dawn FM was an interesting pick, by the way, because I do think it was like I went and saw The Weeknd in person, and so I saw The Weeknd in concert back in August, and that was an extremely dope show, and I realized how much of The Weeknd's music I didn't know. Because, you know, as he went through this 20-song set, and I maybe knew like 5 songs, and like most of them were WrestleMania theme songs. It was no, like as soon as the last song he did,
Blinded by the Lights.
Yeah, like we all knew that. Everybody was like on their feet, but I'm watching all these girls around, and they knew every song, and I'm like, man,
that's
I
their
don't know
music.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know
their-
The Weeknd's
that's
catalog
their
like I
House
thought
of
it did.
Balloons, man. That birthed the generation of druggies and fake druggies. Shout out to the fake druggies. They have the best IG posts. But yeah, absolutely.
I kind of think it's the Beyonce album. I think the Beyonce album is very good. I think that's possibly my album of the year. But at the same time, I listen to the Legit album and the Denzel Curry album a lot as well. A lot of good music this year. I still say the
This
Lupe
is a great
album
music
is
year.
underrated.
Rhythm Survivor, Saba went crazy.
Saba
album is very good.
Very good. I agree.
Yeah, it's definitely it's probably something Griselda. Tana Talk 4, Benny I play that album.
That Rome
all
album
the
is
time. The Rome album is insane. I played the Rome album so many times, a million times. The West Side Gun 10 is super duper dope. The new Absol album is dope. There's so many great albums that happened this year. Like, there's too many at this point. I remember for a while there was like a little phase of like maybe music, hip hop, blah blah blah. There's these years and it goes in phases and all this. But this year everybody came and they put out some super dope projects. Music is pretty strong this year. Anytime Beyonce puts out an album, it's, you know, the world is stopped.
Breaking the mold too, because, you know, there's that idea that women in popular music basically can't have a hit after, what is it, 36, they say 36, 37. There's like rare exceptions like Cher. But beyond that, it's like you're kind of cast aside and seen as a retro act. And the fact that Beyonce was able to produce multiple hit singles this year, like Break My Soul was everywhere, right? And right now,
the fucking challenge record with the cuffing it.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's
The cuffing challenge,
yeah, and that's doing huge too. But
Everywhere.
but you know what else? people wrote Nicki Minaj off for years, and she was able to have a comeback year this year in the sense that like Super Freaky Girl was huge this year. And I don't know. I do think I mentioned Nas a little bit, and I do want to give King's Disease 3. It's it was very good. Yeah. So it was a good year for music.
Lot of good music.
This
year.
was
it's hard to pick.
I will say I don't think I would have been able to get back in shape this year without having great shit to listen to through it. So
yeah, listen, if you would have told me at the beginning of this year that Kendrick and Beyonce were going to drop this year, and at the end of the year I was going to pick the Beyonce album as album of the year, I'd be like, nah, get the fuck out of here. But here we are.
Halabasana says, I was becoming very burned out on wrestling discourse and almost wrestling as a whole until I found Grapsody. 7-star podcast. Much respect and happy holidays to you all. I really appreciate you.
That's love. We really appreciate that.
That's love. Tim Gordon says, Claudio versus Roosh is a match I never knew I needed. Look, man, we've always said the thing that Claudio does best is work with mobile guys smaller than him. Like, if you ever watch Claudio pre-Cesaro, you'll know that like his best opponent was El Generico, right? Like that was just a solid combination. And like just thinking about who he working with, everybody he worked with in Chikara, that's what Claudio did best. And I was reminded of that last night when he was in there with Top Flight and working with both of them. That whole exchange at the end,
I was sick.
I forgot for a minute. I forget that, like, yeah, it's cool seeing Claudio work against bigger guys and all of that, or guys even his size. But man, does he work well with guys smaller than him? That is.
I stopped recording because I was like, they're still doing stuff. I like, I'm gonna sit down. You're still doing. Yeah, and it makes me just like not dislike, but like Braun. Don't you understand the value of these smaller guys to you?
I think he does.
Don't you understand, like, this is where your money comes from? Like, you not only being bigger than those guys, but doing super dope shit with those guys. But,
I think he's gonna see it now. I'm sure somebody has talked to him and was like, no, you need these guys to help put you over. You need these guys to help you have great matches. But yeah, no, Claudio versus Top Flight at the end of that Battle Royal was amazing. Excellent.
So sequence. Great. And I get to see it in person, Claudia, at Blackpool Combat Club versus Top Flight this week.
Yes.
At Dynamite. I was not expecting that match announced. And speaking of which, we finally got a little sneak peek of what the new Dynamite's going to look like in January. January 4th, they put out a promo. I tweeted it. The new year, new Dynamite. We kind of got some glimpses of, and I this is what I was trying to tell you people when I said we saw some glimpses of what the presentation is going to look like on BTE when the Young Bucks had shown them filming the ID shots they did. And I had also seen a little bit, as somebody sent me some of it from Full Gear Weekend, and I got to kind of get a glimpse of what it all looked like and what the graphics were going to look like. And Rampage is also having its presentation lifted as well. They're getting a new stage. Shit looks clean. And well, I guess it's interesting. I said this on Day After Dynamite this week. Dynamite and Rampage are two of the newest shows in pro wrestling, but somehow, some way have the oldest presentation because NXT got a facelift twice since Rampage has launched. Raw's recently gotten a facelift. SmackDown just recently got a facelift. And all of a sudden now you look up and you're like, how are the two newest shows the oldest feeling? They have the oldest theme song. They got the oldest graphics, all except for Main Event. I'll take that back. Main Event's still the oldest. And I don't know how somebody has just not been paying attention over 10 years, but Main Event has had the exact same graphics presentation literally since 2012. And like same everything intro. I think they changed the theme song in like when the network launched. But other than that, it's like the exact same presentation it's had the whole time. I watched it to see Kylie Ray, and I rarely ever watch Main Event, but
yeah.
And I watched this. Yeah, I saw Axiom versus Ali as well this week. That was good stuff. Let's see. Reggie Simmons says, thanks for having this space for the cool kids to talk graps and culturally relevant issues. Help make my 2022 even
not
better.
cool kids anymore, buddy.
Keep building my brothers.
I am a 30-plus guy at this point. I am not at the cool table.
I was never at the cool table, and I have always been okay with that. And that is like, look, I have been a dad since I was, when was Veda born? I was 23 when she was born. So like, I have been in big dad energy mode since I was 23. Like I don't know. I live for my kids at this point.
I'll take all that. I'm at the cool kids tables now, and I was back then, so fuck all y'all. Holla at the boys. Righteous Reg.
Yes, Righteous Reg has been out here as long as you could be out here. Orion Ben says, so how did Cena get out of the Firefly dimension? It's a good question.
Nobody needs to know, man. Come on.
Retcon.
Ed Joel says, I stand with Phil on Bray discourse. Alexander says, the problem is simple. Fascinating Bray segments meander their way to bad or straight up damaging Bray matches.
I mean,
They rarely equate. Like I'll say that. Like damaging, they rarely equate. Like what you're getting through the promos is rarely what's produced in the match, because all of a sudden you go to these heavily produced things to fireball in the ring, and so it's hard to even those out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Zero Prime says, so Phil and Will, what's opinions on Cheetah versus Hater? That was before we talked about it. But again, it's one of my favorite matches this year.
Excellent match. One of the best AEW matches of the year.
Great main event.
Great main event. I think it was the best women's main event AEW's had. And I know when I said that on Twitter, people were like, well, what have they had? Like 3? And I was like, no, they've actually had like,
5?
this was the 5th one on Dynamite. Plus there's been, I think 6 on Rampage and then 2 Battle of the Belts across the board. So this is the 13th time they've main evented. Overall, though, I think between all those main events, this was the best one we've seen. And I think you can really start to say that AEW's women's division is in motion in the right direction. And these are things, like I said, there's still a long ways to go. But I think in even knowing that there's a long ways to go, it's worth acknowledging the progress this year. Even in little things like people hated the women's world title belt, right? Remember how much people hated the little oval belt that everybody had beforehand? And they turned it into, I didn't think about it until Jamie came out this week and was posing with the belt. And I looked at it and I thought, that is like the best looking women's world title right now. I think it's a really great looking belt and it feels like a world title. And that's the thing that they improved this year. That was a piece people complained about. And I think they are in a better spot this year than they've been in a long time. So yeah, great match.
I think the current best looking women's title is the IWGP belt, personally.
It's a good one too. I mean, of course it is. I think IWGP belts in general, it took a while for the men's to grow on me, just because they've got the 2000s one was so good.
I agree. I think it was Jay White. Jay White makes that belt look good, man.
Yeah.
Right.
But for a long time, just looking at that 2000 belt, I still want that one as a replica. That's the next belt I think I'm after as I build my second glass case. KJ Herrera says, Merry Christmas all. Watch every week and appreciate your voices on all topics. What's the one thing in wrestling you guys will remember 2022 for? Mine is discovering indie shows at Nick Wayne's 17th birthday. Reg was right AF.
What's new?
I don't know if there's one thing. There's so many things this year. I don't know.
I went to 20 wrestling shows this year.
Yeah.
Or Wednesday will be my 20th. And so that's honestly just getting to be out there this year is the thing that I will
Definitely watching wrestling with y'all at the ROH show. That's pretty high up there. There's been some super fun moments we've done for sure.
I mean, look, it's an insult I know people are tired of hearing. But I think in a grander scheme, it's an important one, which is the biggest lesson should be touch grass. Like, and I mean that in the sense that just like get out there. And the reason I say that is because I know it's a Dave Chappelle line that people don't like to hear, but the line of Twitter's not real is really important. And the reason I think that's really important is because social media tends to live, and I don't just mean this in wrestling, I mean this in life in general. Social media tends to live in a very binary way. Things are either one way or they're the other, and there's not a whole lot of nuance. But when you're interacting with real people, you recognize that there is nuance in human beings. And so I think this year for me, my biggest takeaway is like, there are people I see on social media all the time that I don't agree with. And it's easy to just kind of see that I don't agree with them, so therefore I don't like this person. It's a very easy thing to, very easy stance to take. But then I meet these people in person at WrestleMania weekend at things like that, and it's like, nah, this dude is cool as hell. It's great. And we had a great vibe. Just because I don't like their tweets doesn't mean that I don't like them as a human. And that's my lesson to everybody is just get out there. Don't let 280 characters, or I guess it's going to be 4,000 once Elon's done with Twitter. But don't let 280 characters dictate how you feel about human beings, because humans are just like you.
That is a very thoughtful message, and I will say that there is a stern difference between somebody I just don't like and somebody that I just don't like their opinions. And hey, there are people I don't agree with none of their opinions, and I think they're great people. Hey, Louis Dane Gore is great. I think he's cool. Don't agree with a lot of his tweets, but no, there are people that I absolutely see on Twitter that I do not like, and if I see them in person, it's the same energy. Sorry.
I think to piggyback on what Will was saying, my moment is WrestleMania week. My moment is Wale Mania. Yeah. I think that, and I don't think between the four of us, I don't think anybody ever thought we had like any real problem. But no, it was great seeing y'all. If anybody knows me, I'm like the biggest fan of everybody else. Like I really am just like, I want to see black people do dope shit. I love it. And that being in that environment, I wish, like Will was saying, I wish everybody with a Twitter account got to be there. And I don't mean interact with anybody, because some of you motherfuckers are weird. But I wish everybody got to be in that room and see, oh, wrestler I love and wrestler I don't love because of where they wrestler are friends, and they're standing there together and drinking and joking and like normal people, and all these people interact and they're actually friends in real life, and they don't give a shit about none of this company versus company shit. Great. Like it was that, and also like it was just to me, and I'm probably like reaching too far, but it was a flashpoint. I think I was in a room with Grapsody. I was in a room with Ringer and a bunch of other guys, and it's like, oh, we're all about to take off. Like everybody's about to be where they're supposed to be, and I think we're on the forefront of this different world in how wrestlers deal with media and what we can give people about wrestling and wrestlers. Like I think there's a different level of transparency, and like we're not telling everybody's business, but this thing has ballooned to a place where the people I like as people are also the people making the dopest media shit in the entire world. Right. And I got to see them and it all happen in real time, and everybody's just taken off since then. It was great. That was my moment for sure.
I got to see my guy Sparks in action with the leather pants jumping off.
All that damn hair.
That's my guy. No, it's been a wild year. That's why I'm like it's tough for me to say one major memory. I mean, I feel like every time we've touched down together, all three of us, it's been kind of special, and it's been like weird. Like I swear we go places sometimes, and I'm like, what is happening right now? It's like, what is this? No, but it's been great. It's been a great year.
Yes.
I was gonna say, Reg, did you have anything? Or is that...
Oh yeah, I thought I had said something, but yeah, pretty much all those moments being in Vegas. We did that. We haven't even talked about the podcast we did live in Vegas in that beautiful $1 million
in Blue Wire Studios. Shout out Blue Wire Studios. Shout out
Blue
Cole.
Wire.
Yeah.
so
Great
cool.
stuff.
I got lost before I was supposed to go there, and it was stressful, but we made it happen. Yeah, just like all those moments like that of like us being out. Well, when Will and I went to the Revolution Fan Fest thing, and there's people stopped yelling like, "Hey, Grapsody!" like blah blah blah, yelling all these things, stopping to take pictures with us. It's just like, what?
You had to perform at an AEW concert.
That thing, yeah, like there's so many things. I got to perform at that AEW concert on stage.
You had your theme music played in an arena that you were in.
Yeah, like it's just like,
And it's not just a small arena, like T-Mobile Arena sold out.
yeah,
And right, again, I talked about this on Ask Grapsody. That's still one of my favorite memories. Watching one of my guys succeed is seeing you across the arena. I wasn't even sitting by Reg, but I knew where Reg was sitting. Literally 10,000 people in this building. I see Reg across the way going nuts at his song being played in the building.
And Phil sitting right here next to me. Like, it's just like how do we get here, man? This is nuts. This is crazy.
This is a beautiful dream.
Yeah, it's been great.
Dream Ninja 77 says Elektra Lopez greater than Nikita Lyons. Yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
Who was challenging you on that?
Right.
Like, I understand just being right about stuff, but nobody was. Yeah.
Let's see. Brent Lockman says, Merry Christmas, evil gentlemen. Can't wait to see what 2023 looks like for you guys and wrestling in general, because this year felt like a fever dream at times. Did. Let's see. Joseph Correll says, what makes a wrestling family royalty? Oh, because I suppose they have more than one royal family.
Asking wrong guys on that.
I mean, I guess if wrestling does have one
Bloodline
royal family, like how many royal families actually are there?
All right.
Like, as a matter of fact, if Roman does get the feud with Cody this year, that is like the statement you challenge him on. Of like, like, yes, they do have more than one royal family. Us.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
So either way, I want to read a couple of the Humper chats and then get us out of here. Because one of the things I had in the topic list was the Bloodline, and I do want to just touch on that just a little bit. But what was the last Humper chat I read? Let's see, we got the coal in the stocking. Oh, let's see. D-Lo asks, what's up to the four legends? What's your greatest Christmas memory? Mine was when my parents gave us clothes as a gift to me, my twin, and my sister. We saw they used our old clothes. Wait, what?
What's going on, bro?
Yeah. Hand-me-downs.
Is there more to this story?
It looks like it got cut off. I can't pull up the rest of it.
Cause I'm very confused as to where this is going. Where are you going with this, D-Lo?
No, I will say my greatest Christmas memory. So I grew up in Los Angeles, and then I moved. I won't say grew up because I moved when I was like 7. So I moved to LA. I moved from LA to Denver when I was 7 years old. And my oldest brother, the actor, the one who's on Sister, all them shows, obviously he stayed in LA because he had an acting career. And so, speaking of which, I just watched this episode of Smart Guy the other day. Great episode. That's
hilarious. Like, he has been on this podcast. It's really weird.
Yeah, I know. He's been on the show. No, I mean, honestly, his episode of Smart Guy is one of the funniest episodes of that show. And he was due with the fly shirt. But anyway, so he stayed behind in California because he was an adult already. He's like, look, I'm not leaving California. I've got acting dreams. And so he stayed behind. He had to watch his whole family basically up and move to another state. And I didn't see him for 2 years. He didn't, he spent those 2 years basically trying to find every acting role. He was in The Parenthood. He was Short Fuse Ricky. He was on Family Matters. He did all them shows. And he did those over a 2-year span. And so he finally came out. Let's see, we moved in 94. He came out Christmas 96. And that's my favorite Christmas memory is all of a sudden I saw a very different brother than we left in California. He went from, guy who was 2 bedrooms away from me to all of a sudden like, nah, he's a Hollywood actor. And so when he came out Christmas 96, that's my favorite Christmas memory is just having him back in the house again, but it was different. It was like all of a sudden he's not the same. We were in the grocery store and people are stopping him going, like, you look just like this dude who was on Family Matters, but you're not him because you're just some dude walking around Colorado. And he's like, nah, that was me. And they're like, oh, shit.
You realize that is a sitcom trope, right? The cast member that goes away for a few seasons and then comes back with like different experience. That is a fucking sitcom trope.
Well, and the funny thing too was watching. So I obviously being from Los Angeles, I never saw snow till I got to Colorado. My brother was much older, and he had never experienced snow one time in his life. And so when he came to visit us in Colorado in '96, I remember just watching him. He was just staring out the window, just at Christmas, just watching snowfall because he had never seen it before. And this is a man in his 20s, just like, damn,
Snow.
what is this? And he is just staring out the window. I remember he was just looking at just sitting on the couch, just staring out the window. And that was a good memory. That's my favorite memory growing up of
That's dope.
Christmas. What about you guys? Favorite Christmas memory?
I think mine is also connected to Super Nintendo. Funny enough, that was the year that my mom was like, "There's no like, I bought this. There's no secrets. Like, this is like no Santa, no none of that shit. Like, a black mama got this for you." And every time she would get a gift, she would show it to me. She wouldn't hide. She'd be like, "This is what you're getting," blah blah blah. And it was like some dope shit. Super Nintendo. The one time they had this domino setup thing where you could set up dominoes and knock them down. Dr. Dreadful. It was lit that Christmas. Like, she was showing me all the super dope shit. And then like it all just came true Christmas morning, and I got the Super Nintendo and I'm playing this game, and my mom is just like successfully achieved Christmas as a single black mom. And it was just great moments to like, and I thinking about it now, like her being a single mom and getting all that shit, and Christmas is expensive, and she made it happen. Like that, the triumph of Mia Morrison killing it out here is a great Christmas memory for me.
I think the year that I think most kids had that one year that they found the Christmas gifts before that they were wrapped. And that year finding gifts and being like, oh man, let me try to see if I can open it enough to play with it, and then close it back and then put it back in a hiding spot. And then coming back and it was gone, because my dad, towards the end of my mom and dad's relationship, is some of the most awkward and funny moments ever. My dad bringing all the gifts home in a big box and then putting them in the middle of the basement floor and going, "Why did I put them in the basement? The kids don't go in the basement." I was like, it's like literally like sitting just in the middle of the basement. Like, it's not covered by anything. I can see it right there. It has toys in it. So just that, seeing that, and then opening gifts and going, "Oh yeah, I already saw this." And my mom finding out that we found the gifts, and that turning into what I thought was a funny argument, which was a real argument. Yeah, I just, some of that stuff from that Christmas was great. I think that was the year I got the Batman Command Center, where you could put the Bruce Wayne toy in there and
you flip it and it's Batman. I had that Batman Returns. I had that too.
It was just, it came with the Batmobile. It was awesome.
Yeah. My best friend passed away last year. We would always, wherever we lived, we'd always come home for Christmas and do a bunch of hanging out. So one year, he and I, we went to this local bar, and we're hanging out. And this is like literally Christmas Eve turning into Christmas Day. So we're hanging out. We see a girl we went to high school with. She's with her roommate, I guess. It was this well-endowed redhead Jewish gal. And we all get to talking. Everybody's having a good time. And it's like, hey, the bar's closing soon. What should we do? And they said, hey, you guys should come over. We said, okay. So we got bored and we played strip poker. And I was the only one who knew how to play poker. So I lost on purpose. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah.
I'm thinking you're gonna come with like this great like kids memory, in Cam fashion.
Hey, I will say, having a strongly Jewish family and being in the midst of Hanukkah, last week I played a dreidel game for the first time. Dude, it's fun. And
That's not where I thought this was going.
No. So here's the thing. There's two things. One,
You had to get naked too? No.
no. So two things. One, no, there was money on the table.
Yeah.
I lost, and it was the first time that I was maybe starting to consider, because only non-Jewish man at the table, and I was the first one eliminated, and I was like, they really are the chosen folk, aren't they? Because I got eliminated. I'm like,
No comment.
I was like, wait, what? I was like, what the hell? How did I?
This has been Grapsody. Merry Christmas, everybody.
I was like, seriously. Obviously, I'm joking, but I was like, nah, fuck all this. Like, how do I get eliminated first? And I'm the only non-Jewish guy at the table.
Yeah.
And I did. But shout out to my half Jewish kids who won. So that's how that went, and it was great. And let's see, we also got another one from Atlas Earth. We read that one already. But we did get this one from Joseph Snurk. It just says Chekhov's tickets. We got this one from Joseph Correa. Who says, "What's up, y'all? Who do you think will get called up first between Melo and Braun?" That's an interesting question, right? Because I think Braun is obviously closer to being done with the NXT Championship, and I think Melo deserves a run with that belt. But I think between the two of them, who's more ready? It's Melo.
Melo. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of think Melo's going to come up first, and he's not going to get the NXT title reign. I want him to get it though. But I feel like Melo's going to come up first.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's the guy, like, looking at the landscape right now, he, to me, is the guy to dethrone Braun. But it's, I don't know.
Who else is
I
there?
think in a good way. And also, like, with speaking with him, he's very tied to Trick in that, like, he understands that was the thing that not got him over, but that added so much to his character. They really do bounce ideas creatively. Like, he understands, like, the sauce that Trick being next to him gives him. And so I think that I agree that Melo is more ready. I think Braun gets called up first because I also think that Melo's progress is where he needs to be, but I think they're going to work a bit more with Trick too. I think when you think Trick is ready, that's when you should expect Melo to come up.
I think Melo and Trick deserve like a top of the card run though, as far as like Melo as NXT champion. So I like I said, if Braun losing the title means that he's done with NXT, then the answer is Braun. But as far as who is more ready right now, I think it's Melo.
Right.
Now we got a couple more questions. Van Twinblade says, first, Evans is pure honky, and all she shit is cringe as fuck. Okay.
Not pure honky.
Secondly, Camaro Jackson versus Jake Something and 2D versus Kylie Ree have been announced. And says January 7th for January 7th Wrestle Apocalypse at Del Mar Hall. Tickets still available. Thank you, Van Twinblade.
Nice.
Always
Shout out
keeping
to
us
Jake
posted.
Something. That's my dog.
Yeah, totally.
Man.
Christian Ramos says, happy holidays, Grapsody. I dead ass thought Grandin was Madman Fulton from Impact. I think Big Zeke, Ezekiel Jackson, would have been a perfect pairing. Parker fits, but he is green AF. Rose as a manager is gold. Do you think the goons change every week? I mean, look, I don't know if you saw Parker's Twitter back on November 28th, but he's been kind of hyping that he was going to be a part of Mogul Affiliates for a while. Since back at Thanksgiving. So that was what I was saying, what I was kind of hinting at when I was like, it's out there if you're paying attention to who is going to be with Swerve. Let's see. Pablo says, happy holidays, Grapsody, joining late, and just have to say you all had an incredible year with some of my favorite interviews. Most improved AEW on-screen talent of the year, ? Most improved?
Most improved.
It's not that he wasn't good, but I think people didn't know he was good. But I think the answer for me is Wheeler Yuta. I think Wheeler didn't get to show any of what he had to offer while he was with Best Friends. And then this year, he got to really go out there and prove who he is.
Yeah,
I think kind of along those same lines, Ethan Page. Like Ethan Page is not bad, but I think he's just gotten the chance to show that he's Ethan Page and he can really do it out here.
Yeah, I think it's Ricky Stark by a mile. I think Ricky Stark this year has like improved leaps and bounds from where he was at the beginning of this year. I mean, even when you think of like his turn and how they put the title on Hook and just how well executed that was, all that stuff with Max. Yeah, I think it's Ricky Stark.
Mm-hmm.
No comment.
He also follows up by saying, for Grapsody, love this this Ruby Willow buddy cop tag team idea on Rampage. I think they could elevate each other, and it gives me more hope for a women's tag division. Excited to attend the Denver show next week, and then the new set and graphics next year. It should be really interesting to see what the set and graphics look like. Tony really sounded like he doesn't want to overpromise on that. He's like, at the end of the day, it's still set, and the show's going to be the same. But yeah, you guys will see. Fam says, love the show, guys. As an Orlando Magic fan, I'm still mad that they didn't let Duncan's wife on the plane. We could have had Tracy McGrady, Tim Duncan, and Grant Hill.
Tracy McGrady also could have been a Chicago Bull. I don't know if people know that.
It changed. Like that's a story that like you know it if you know it, but it just changed the trajectory of the NBA for like a decade. Like it really did. So many things happened different if they just stopped being shiesty with. And again, this is like what? Is this 04 Tim Duncan? It's either 04 or 06, but either way, it's Tim Duncan at the peak of his powers.
Right.
Yeah.
Like shopping around. You don't give that man everything that he wants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then thinking about Grant Hill and wives, because Tamia, I will say I probably still to this day listen to I'm So Into You probably like 3 times a week. It's definitely like a part of
that is some light skinned shit right there.
This fits your character to a
Look, you know me. I am
Mr. R&B.
yeah,
dad.
you know me. I am R&B dad, and that is both of my kids know that song quite well. As soon as that first note hits, Veda jumps up and she's like, "I think you're truly something special." Like that, all my kids know it. And
do you think in their prenup it says I get to sing the Canadian national anthem at every All-Star game until you retire?
Yes.
Because they was bringing her out, boy. She didn't have nothing on the radio. Gotta sing the Canadian national anthem.
She didn't have nothing on the radio. Mm-hmm.
I know somebody. But yeah, Magic have definitely fumbled the bag more than once. Fumbling it with Shaq and having all of those guys come through there a few years ago, like Vucevic and like all these guys, and not being able to make that work. I mean, the Dwight Howard years, boy, it's got to be a little depressing being a Magic fan.
Did Jonathan Simmons give them their money back? That was my man too. Somebody lied. He was putting up 6 points a game, and they were like, "We're gonna turn him into something." I ain't seen that boy since.
I mean, yeah, they probably got Rookie of the Year on that team right now because I mean,
yeah.
And look, Bol is. I mean, granted, you know, I wanted to hold on to Bol, but I knew they were never going to play him the way they should have. And what do I have to complain about though? Nuggets are still number 1.
I saw just this last season, I saw Jokic play in person. I've never been more impressed. And this is not backhanded at all. I've never seen somebody who does not run fast or jump high dominate a basketball game.
No,
like
are you kidding me?
It's so impressive.
As a diehard Nuggets fan, it is important for people to know that Jokic looks like somebody who should not be good at any of what he's good at. Like, he looks like somebody who just, like, plays pickup ball at your local gym. But I swear, everything goes in. So what is it? Who's to argue it? None of it is pretty, but it works.
I was blown away. I saw him and Giannis within, like, 2 weeks from each other. And of course, Giannis is Giannis. But it was just like, these two dominate this game in totally different ways, but it's masterful to see, man. Jokic is dope.
I want Jokic to have a playoff run. That's really what I'm looking for because he hasn't had that yet. He's had all these regular season runs. He's probably on track to get the Jordan Trophy again. But
well, tell Mega Michael Redd to act right, and maybe you'll get there.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Jokic is one of those guys like Steph Curry that are like anime characters where they do all these incredible things that it doesn't look like they should be able to do. And when you look at the guy of this era and LeBron and how he is like this freak athlete, and he's been beaten by this guy that shoots threes well 3 times. Like that's pretty incredible. And not to downplay what Steph does. He's not just a great 3-point shooter, but still, just to pick that guy out of the bunch to be the guy that beat him 3 times is wild.
Is Steph still hurt?
Yeah.
Okay.
What you mean humble, lives off humility, meek Steph Curry?
Yeah.
The worst
Lull you to
narrative
sleep?
ever. And like, I mean, it's not LeBron's fault. He's a great big dark nigga. But the worst narrative that the NBA's ever produced is that LeBron is some type of arrogant, all about himself person, and Steph Curry is humble and cares about the team. It's like, no, he's a beige, arrogant sharpshooter, which is great. I love it.
Are we saying that Bron's not arrogant though?
Is he arrogant? Oh, you can still be arrogant and great at what you do. Like the arrogance still exists. When you shoot a
he's
three,
very much arrogant.
turn your back totally and stare at the other team, it's arrogant.
Of course.
But I love it. Like, I'm not mad at that.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Like, if you do not like someone's arrogance, stop them from doing the thing that they are.
Exactly.
And until they stop it, hey, ride that out. He's great.
Let's see. Last 2 on the chat functions. We got My Leg says, listening on a delay right now, but I think people with wrestlers in their AVI are typically the worst people to interact with online. Just disingenuous conversation. The only thing that like really throws me off in that regard is men with female avatars, because I'm just like, I don't know. It throws me off because it's like, I know you're just like a Sasha fan and not necessarily. It throws me off every time.
I'll be like, damn, who is that? Oh, it's Rhea Ripley again. Yeah.
Speaking of which, Rhea Ripley beating up on last couple of notes. So we're done with super chats and humper chats for the day. Thank you, everybody. That was a good amount of them.
Appreciate
for
y'all.
Today's show. And we appreciate everybody who donated a super chat this week. Really quick, couple of things from Raw, and then we're out of here. Rhea Ripley beating Akira Tozawa. Look, I love Tozawa, but that shit was great.
That was great.
I think he's having a ball right now. It looked like they were about to write him off. And then they're like, no, we can use you in like 8 different ways. It was great.
Yeah, I love that they're letting him wrestle again. I think that the stuff he's doing now is great. We got blonde hair, Tozawa back. We got that great gif of him doing the I don't care. That is one of the best things he's done on the main roster. And yeah, no, Rhea's on a great run. I feel like she looks like the badass Rhea that we wanted a few years ago. That kind of got like hindered by the Charlotte win at WrestleMania. So I'm excited for her. I'm excited for her going into Royal Rumble.
I think though that her beating up on men is gonna get really over, and I think it's the thing. I don't think this was the intended goal for her, but I can very much see this being a thing fans are going to want more and more of. Look, Denise yesterday on After the Week had pitched the idea that the end goal needs to be Rhea Ripley versus Omos, and I'm kind of sold on it.
I like it.
Like she just like the people need to get bigger and bigger and bigger with each person that like each time we encounter it, and then next year at WrestleMania, it's the ultimate matchup. Rhea Ripley takes on Omos.
I like it.
Yeah. She should definitely pop up in the men's rumble. That needs to happen.
Yeah.
And then also, I thought that the use of the Bloodline this week was some genius stuff. I thought that using them kind of NWO style, beating up people behind the scenes, and everybody behind the scenes or everybody backstage needing to essentially form an alliance against the Bloodline because the Bloodline's out of control. That's the kind of stuff I love to see. I love to see things threaded throughout shows, and this was a great way to do that. What did you guys think of all of that?
I thought my guy said what I've been saying for weeks, that why Roman's still ducking me. Give Rollins the rematch, man. Like, stop all of this. He was male superstar of the year, and he's wrestled, 10 matches this year? Meanwhile, Rollins has been killing it.
It'll be 11 on Friday.
give him his rematch, bro. Like, stop this nonsense, man. I know people are like Cody should be the guy to beat him, but nah, give Rollins his rematch, man.
The real question is, any of you guys getting a My Dogs t-shirt?
No.
Nah, I'll send somebody a $20 bill somewhere, but I'm good.
You're not getting a My Dog straight up.
Nah, I'm not. No, but
take my money directly.
No, I'd love gang warfare in pro wrestling though, and I thought that as it seems to be kind of hinting and inching toward a reuniting of the Hurt Business, which seems to be on the right track. My only worry there is, are they just being reunited as fodder for the Bloodline? Because if so, I'm not as into that. But if they can go on a bit of a dominant run, that'd be great.
yeah,
The idea that Triple H has fumbled Austin Theory is ridiculous. I think Theory's in the best, most watchable spot that he's been in. I like him having an edge to him.
Yeah.
I love the way that he ducked on Seth. Like, he didn't hit Seth and run. Like, I thought that
he just slid out.
Yeah, just slid out and let him do his thing. He got a semblance of a beard going. He's doing his thing, man.
No, I agree. Beard Theory is much better than cheesy goatee Theory any day of the week.
He looks like Willy
Yes.
Willy when they cut his goatee like that. Like, you could just take the eyebrows and you can switch them and put them at. Yeah, no, beard is good. Beard is good.
Yeah, Beard is very good. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Just make this guy babyface. I know it was his hometown, but he acted like a babyface throughout that entire segment. Even Theory turning and leaving on him. That was all babyface stuff. And even him teaming with KO's a babyface now. Just make Rouse a babyface, man. Like, what are we waiting on?
Right.
Well, everybody, this has been a really long edition of Grapsody. And that's usually the case. I meant to warn Cam of that when we have one
you
extra
say that every week.
well, no, because what it is when we have one extra person talking, that's more time. Like, if we're all getting our voices in at some point, it's going to be a longer show. But I appreciate everybody who joined us this week. I appreciate everybody who joined us this year. We still got one more show to go this year. We will be here New Year's Eve. Please check out the interview that as it drops on Monday as Grapsody interviews Tony Khan. If you haven't checked out some of our other interviews, we just interviewed EJ and Duca this week. We also had an interview drop with Willow Nightingale. That's still one of my favorites we've done this year. We've got one dropping with Veda Scott here soon. Just lots of great stuff. And I think we had a great year of interviews in general.
You think? I mean, just gonna casually say that as we're getting ready to drop our biggest interview ever.
Yeah.
But
But
no,
even so, we had champions on the show, right? We had Swerve appeared on the show twice, once as a free agent, once as AEW World Tag Team Champion. We had Jade Cargill, the TBS champion, on the show with the TBS title. It was all great stuff. We had it was a good year for interviews, and I think the only way to look at having a great year of interviews is to top it next year.
For sure. But yeah, shout out to EJ. I think EJ is great. I think that interview is really good as well. People should check that one out. Looking forward to doing more interviews next year.
Yes, but we're gonna.
You should you watching and listening and watching this back on replay. You should probably read theringer.com on Wednesday. You just should. I love to see my guys hitting their stride and hitting their peak. I may peak on Wednesday, so just
Are
you
you
might
interv-
want to check it out.
are you interviewing the Miz?
Hopefully. I mean, the only thing that happens, people will watch it. If I do that with the Miz, it'll definitely get views and nothing bad will happen to me afterward. And the right type of people, the ones who actually spend money, will take a look at that. So that would be great. The Miz is not in my list of people, but Wednesday, you should maybe check that out. Just Wednesday.
I like this because I've been trying to get this chant going for a long time, but James Zimmerman said Donkey Kong rap style TK. Tony Khan.
I remember you telling us about this.
Tony Khan is here. Yeah, you know what? That's
Tony Khan is here.
Bringing it back around to Donkey Kong Country. Folks, this has been Grapsody. I hope you have Merry Christmas. I hope you get to enjoy your families this week, or at least I hope you get to just chill and just relax and have a great, great holiday. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. Cam, anything you want to plug one last time?
Yeah, look, I talked about Wednesday. My very last episode of the Pro Wrestling Torch East Coast cast will be this coming Wednesday, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central. It's going to be our best of AEW and WWE 2022 episode. I've had an amazing 10 plus year run with the East Coast cast in the Torch. New opportunities necessitate newness. So yeah, we're doing different things in 2023. We're expanding, we're growing, but had a great run. Happy to close it out the right way. So yeah, East Coast cast next week. If you're on my Twitch, my Twitter, my YouTube, or just eastcoastcast.com, you will hear that next Wednesday evening. And again, you should probably check the ringer.com next Wednesday, early Wednesday morning. I'm sure it'll be fun. Yeah.
For Righteous Reg, Phil Lindsey, for Cam Hawkins, I'm Will Washington. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. Peace.